poll listeners, and welcome to episode 102 of the Poll List podcast. It's weird to have to say that many syllables for number of episodes now, but here we are. It's a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Chris Poirier, and with me, as always, is the one, the only Hector. I almost said as seen on DC's The Swamp Thing yet again to throw back as we hit the spring season finale, but I don't know. It's still on your IMDb, right?
Well, no.
How
It's weird that my IMDb has been scrubbed.
How dare they?
But it's still there. It's empty, but if you scroll down on my IMDb, it says known for faith and fandom.
Wow.
So
this summer's project is to get Hector's cred back.
Yeah, my little IMDb Swamp Thing is gone. My associate producer for Blue Like Jazz is gone.
Ooh.
And I'm in the credits on that. That shouldn't be really like a
It actually happened.
That's for real. And it's like, come on, hey guys, that's a real thing. Give me my I'm like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. At this point, I feel like more people have listened to this podcast than have watched Swamp Thing. So
that should be on IMDb. We're in video now. That counts, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Actually, Matt, if we're on TV now, Matt, we should all Matt. That's like, what's that one strong bass like? Matt. I think if we're all on TV now through this glorious process, well, you should get us all on IMDb. Click, yes. Make it so.
Do not deny us glorious purpose. Reference. You're welcome. I guess that means as we wander into the summer months, we got to do the thing. So strap yourselves in and prepare yourselves, for we've got Comic Sign.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better bring next song. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
I'm sorry if this is a low energy one, guys. This is a post-church nap podcast.
Yeah, that's fair.
And my pastoral brain is really wanting to be asleep right now. So
I get that. I do the same thing. If I had to pastor beyond being like, hi, my Sunday afternoons kind of roll that way. So now you know it's Sunday afternoon, but it's Wednesday. So we are coming to you from the past. So it is true. On today's episode of the Poll List, which is the season finale, not series, season. Love how everybody does that now, and you have to listen close and be like, wait, is the show ending or is it just for now? Marketing's weird, but here we are. We're going to talk about our polls from the last couple weeks, our favorite new number ones, maybe. I don't know. Summer must be here because woof. Yeah, we're going to find a way to talk about comics for the next hour somehow. Because it feels like it was kind of that bad this time around. Comics be that way. This is the Poll List Podcast. Okay, so before we got started, I told Hector I had something for him, and he's like, save it for the podcast. So I'm going to lead with it. So I hope you're ready.
No.
You chose to not be mentally prepared for this. It has been announced.
It has been said.
It has been said, as some people would say, that the long Halloween is not the end of the story. And by that, I mean the long Halloween special, which came much later, is also not the end of the story. In fact, it was always intended to have a 10-part sequel. And you're going to get it. So it is being dedicated to sale, but they are laying the foundation, such as it were, for the Long Halloween. I'm sorry, I got to back up. The full title: Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween.
Is Jeff Loeb writing it?
Yes.
Okay, fair.
And so that's the whole thing.
I was like, if anybody, I don't even care if it's Tom King. If anybody but Jeff Loeb was writing it, I would call blasphemy. But go on.
Right. So apparently Jeff kind of alludes to the fact that there was a rough outline at least, and that Sale had intended to get here, and unfortunately that didn't happen. So this is kind of Jeff's way of saying, thank you for the cool thing that was the Long Halloween by kind of wrapping up the whole thing. So they're calling it a 10-part action-packed mystery that will serve as a prologue. So we'll see kind of how this whole thing
a prologue
plays out.
to the Long Halloween.
Yes.
I don't need a prologue. I'm anti-log.
Well, too bad. Some pretty cool covers are already kind of floating out there. We'll see what happens, but I wanted to double check the date. That's what I was actually here for, is when we get to read this. I believe it's soon. I think it's this fall is the goal. Go figure. Comics are actually going to release something that is somewhat timely based on the content. Oh, seriously? Do they not say in all this? Well, fine. I know that it's coming, and so you are anti-log. That's what I took away from this.
Yes, I am anti-log. Ever since Ren and Stimpy.
But it rolls downstairs. So there you have it. The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween.
It's better than bad. It's good.
It's better than bad. It's good. Here's hoping, but I do agree, because Jeff's actually writing it, that is slightly better than potentially anything else that could have happened.
That almost be like Marvel making a sequel to Civil War without any of the people that made Civil War.
What? Civil War 2 wasn't good?
It's log.
Oh, that dead air was worth it. You could feel the sarcasm dripping on that one. But yes, but I guess Marvel's kind of out there trying to do their thing too. So Iron Fist turns 50 this year. Doesn't look a day over 30, but Iron Fist's 50th anniversary is going to hit this year as well. And Chris Claremont is actually leading a majority of the writers and other folks that are putting together.
Oh, I have news too.
Ooh,
sorry, go ahead.
Have actual. Well, this is good. Hector has breaking news here momentarily. Stand by. But yeah, Chris Claremont and a bunch of other folks are coming together for Iron Fist's 50th anniversary. Some folks that have worked on Iron Fist over the years. Apparently, we're going to get some Kevin Eastman action during this as well. So Kevin getting to do more and more projects over at Marvel is kind of fun just to see that art. But yeah, so if you like the Iron Fist, Chris Claremont, Kevin Eastman drawing Marvel characters, well, guess what? Your day's coming. All right. Breaking news, Hector.
You mentioned the 50th anniversary thing, and it reminded me. Just a couple weeks ago was Daredevil's 60th anniversary, correct?
That sounds right. I'm pretty sure.
Issue 8 was Daredevil's 60th anniversary. You got jilted, fair people. If you picked up issue 8 of Daredevil, which was the 60th anniversary, you were missing about 16 pages in your book.
Some people were, yes.
Some people were. But if you purchased a Daredevil 8 at your comic book store, you can go get a new one.
Yep.
For free.
It's very true. And I believe some stores even got some new variants, etc. From what I heard from my local shop guy. There's something that happened there that basically they were like, whoops.
So yeah, and my pulls was a crisp, chunkier new Daredevil 8. So make sure you grab that.
Yeah.
And like because our shop actually does like a computer record of all your purchases. Like, like they're like, hey, you bought Daredevil. So everybody that bought a Daredevil number 8 was automatically put in their box. So that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, if you read Daredevil last time and you were like, this feels light.
Well, I read Daredevil number 8 and immediately followed it by 9. So I think I just kind of all blended.
Right. You were like, okay, that happened. That's fair. That's fair. The only other industry news that I have, and I feel like, and I mentioned to Hector kind of while we were talking before we were talking about talking, which is what a podcast is, so I'm told. News seemed light, and summer can be weird because either everything is dropping in preparation for the fall, but also I have to be reminded that June, July is heavy con season, which means a lot of places are going to hold stuff for panels for San Diego, for other shows, and all that good stuff. That there was just kind of a lacking of news. But interestingly enough, DC has either leaked or someone has found out, etc., that DC Comics is updating their logo and probably is going to reveal it at San Diego in July. This actually doesn't happen a ton.
I think I've seen 4 logo changes in my reading history.
Yep. And from what I can recall, for most modern, that's about right. For us is going to be that many. Taking a look total, it is actually 10 total, but for us, it would have been 4.
Okay. I'm glad with that number. I was pretty solid with that.
Yep. Yeah, you would have been seeing it. Because 76 was the change, and then 2005 to 2012, then 2012 to 16, and then 16 to now, and then 6 before that, back to the 40s. So, good job.
Yay.
Yeah, I give you something for that, but too bad. So, no idea. Not a clue. Like, everyone's like, we think we've heard rumbles. I'm assuming it's probably going to come out side by side with whatever new hotness is coming. Because we're in this weird space of not 5G, but 5G / the whole Elseworld thing is coming back, but with new content. So I'll be curious if they're going to double down on this whole thing of everything is continuity, and we're just going to come up with multiple ways to share said overlapping continuity and maybe some type of new logo to help usher in a new era. So San Diego might be at least somewhat interesting from that perspective, which is interesting because typically San Diego isn't comic book heavy. It's usually media heavy. So I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out and to see if San Diego actually brings a bunch of comic book news to us on top of any new media things, such as it were. But otherwise, I don't really have any other industry news. So I think Hector and I decided we would at least revisit for a second. Did you have something else?
Yeah, I was going to those Funkos I told you about.
Ooh, hit it.
As you know, it's pretty easy to get Batman Funkos, in general. There's always like a million of them.
Of just Batman.
Did you look this up when I told you, or?
No, I wasn't able to find it. So
okay, cool. Name somebody in the Bat family who you've never seen a Funko of.
In the family.
In the Bat family.
As I look at part of my wall.
Because I'm gonna tell you this. There are 5, and to my knowledge, 4 of them, if not all 5 of them, have never been Funkoed. that are Bat Family, as in even recent, like the Bat Family group shots. They're in it.
Interesting. All right, lay it out for us.
Okay, up first, and not putting these in any kind of order of importance. Batwing.
Interesting.
Yeah. Although he looks terrible.
Oh no.
Like if the name under it didn't say Batwing, I wouldn't have known it was Batwing.
You were like, who are you?
Yeah. Cause yeah, absolutely. Cassandra Cain Batgirl.
Really?
Now, she's the one I'm not certain if she's been Funko'd before. But Cassandra Cain is getting her own Batgirl Funko. Or not even getting, it's out. You can go to GameStop. It's there. This one, I'm a little annoyed that it exists already in this same family.
Oh no.
Because if all of these other characters have been waiting 12 to 15 years, why is this fool here? Clown Hunter.
Bro. Okay, now I need to see what that one looks like.
Clown Hunter gets his own freaking Funko Pop. But wait, there's more. Winston Duke is the Signal.
Okay, I had a feeling that one might be on there.
Yeah, and I figured that would be your first guess if you actually took a guess there.
Yeah, it's where I was leaning. You can get Clown Hunter for the deep discounted price of $12 already.
Yeah. And then definitely not least, but also last, Spoiler.
Yep, I see that. So Duke's Pop looks pretty chill.
Duke's is great. There is a Joker War Joker that literally just looks like something I wouldn't even touch.
Yep, that checks out.
Spoilers looks great. Cassandra Cain looks good. My thing is,
you can't tell it's her, really.
Well, to tell it's her, you'd have to zoom in because she's got stitching around the mouth.
Right.
And my thing is, I would prefer the stitching to not be black so that you could see it a little easier. I also missed the fact of Cassandra Cain going from being Batgirl to being called Orphan and having her own distinct costume, and that just kind of being scrubbed, because I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But I guess we made Orphan sad.
Well, that happened. All right. Get your Clown Hunter. Clown Hunter is sold new at $12. Jeez.
Well, I mean, it's not like a special pop.
Yeah, I know, but I thought most of the... Well, I don't know. Yeah, what is Clown Hunter? Okay, fair enough. All right, interesting. So before we jump out of news, any final thoughts on X-Men 97 now that it is resolved by this recording? And if you haven't seen all the way to the end, then yeah, this is another one of those spoilery moments.
Oh, no, you don't get a warning. You don't get a warning.
Hector says you need to be up to date or get out.
No, not even that. But I'm going to say this. We're like 2 weeks past X-Men 97 ending. Normally a TV show spoiler is 3 days.
Yeah.
And this is X-Men 97. And I'm not here to shame you, but I'm just going to put some general shame in the air. And if it lands on you, that's your fault.
Welcome to the Pull-List Podcast, where Hector will now shame you for the next 10 minutes.
No, I'm just putting shame. I'm letting it waft. If it wafts into your ear holes, that's on you.
That's on you.
No, if you enjoy comic books and you've not watched X-Men 97, I highly recommend you do so. I just feel like they really strongly stuck the landing.
There was some heavy stuff for them to land, and I was like, man, this is one of those shows that's either going to get it or is really going to mess it up.
And I'll say this, dude, like the actual, not just the story, but the writing dialogue in the final episode was like, who the crap is writing this? Like Shakespearean commentary. What on earth is happening? Because some of the dialogue was just pure fire. And I made a meme of it and everything because, surprise. But like,
yeah, Hector does that. For those of you that don't know, Hector does memes for interwebs.
I do those things. But like, legitimately, who would have thought we would get a King T'Chaka making Bible references in the middle of an X-Men finale? Like, what on earth?
What just happened?
He's like, and the line was like so freaking Orson Welles-ish of, you better hope they read the history books more than they do their Bible, because only history would allow us to con our way into forgiveness. I'm like, holy balls, man.
What just happened?
And like, it's just one of those things. It's just like, dang, that was a burn, but it was also subtle. And ow. And like, whoa.
That burn's going to require some topical cream.
Yeah. And it was just like, oh snap. And I was like, and plus, it was great seeing the multitude of cameos, but I also not saying I was dazzled by cameos. I'm like, we're living in 2024 and we're a bunch of geeks on a streaming network. You're gonna have to do more than cameos to impress us here. We've lived through the multiverse of madness and No Way Home.
Yep.
Step it up. I mean, we got freaking Jim Halpert as Mr. Fantastic. What you got? Nothing.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
Come at, you got to come at me harder than that.
Oh man, and I think they tried, to be completely fair. We all knew that some people weren't dead that were supposedly dead because yay comics. So far, others have stayed very dead. Remembered the name.
Yeah. Remember it. He's not. It's Remy LeBeau, not Mike Shinoda, sir. This is 10% luck, mon ami. 20% skill share.
Oh man, either everyone got that or nobody got that, and we just
enjoy that early 2000s post Linkin Park, not post Linkin Park, but early 2000s Mike Shinoda rap reference for Remember the Name.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I now need somebody to go onto TikTok and remake all of Remember the Name as Gambit. Please and thank you.
Please, thanks. So I think my favorite part of all of that is in their indirect cameo-age of the end of the show, though, is I think I counted at least 3 major story arcs that they could potentially have set up in the last episode alone from the X-Men world. And I kind of sat there in slight awe as I was like, those are related only in the fact that they take place in the X-Men universe and nothing else. So they kept giving us the Avengers. So if we absolutely do not get Avengers versus X-Men within the next 3 seasons, I quit.
We won't.
Oh, we totally are. Otherwise, why are they there?
Everybody was there, bro.
I don't think not everybody.
They gave us Cloak and Dagger. They gave us Daredevil. Does that mean we're getting the Defenders? Come on, bro. We're not getting all that. We're not.
Sorry, 4. I would like to see X-Men versus Avengers, but we shall see.
I feel like we're going to get that in the movie before we get in cartoon.
Possibly. The whole thing gave us Futures Past vibes, and they went really hard at that one. In terms of stuff that you saw, I kind of would like to see a House of M. That door just kind of got cracked, but I think that one might be a little harder.
I don't think we're anywhere near there.
I'm wondering. It depends on how much runway they've given themselves, I think, and we just don't know. And that's going to be on all of us continuing to watch it.
But season 2 is going to be based on the work that Homeboy that got fired already did.
Yep.
There's not a writer for season 3 yet.
Yeah, okay. That obvious. I was going to mention that too. That's going to complicate things because the guy that technically helped write the brilliance that is this has already been fired.
He's already been fired, and here's what I've learned is you can have the best writing, but if the person that wrote it's not there to execute it, you get the last season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Dude, we're a couple wrong turns away from this being Days of Future Past.
Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Aw. Come on. This is the best X-Men we've had in a while. Don't mess it up.
It is, but all I'm saying is if we left it here, I'm great.
That's true. I think I would be okay with that.
Stick the landing and move on.
So, and I feel like some people in pop culture have been talking about that lately. Of sometimes we do, we make money folks show up and go, "Hey, you did really great. Give us one more." And they're like, "Nope, that was it."
Like I got a nifty Nightcrawler action figure.
Ooh, it's very pretty. And Hi Nightcrawler.
To go with my other two and the Funko Pop. I have to rearrange all my shelves now. I got a nifty Nightcrawler action figure. I'll probably also buy a Rogue action figure. Past that, I'm probably not going to buy anything. And that's it. That's where it's going to land. I will point one thing out. Someone, and I can't remember who without going through all the interwebs again. Someone, when I made a Nightcrawler meme, because one of the things that Nightcrawler does in one of the last episodes is he makes a prayer that's a direct scripture quote. About protect this Lord, you are a refuge. Something. It's a direct verse. So I just put the reference under it, and someone, which is fair game to do, went to DMs with me to say that he was disappointed that they were bold enough to let Nightcrawler still be a Christian, but not bold enough to let him have a cross on his rosary. And while I do say, okay, I see that, then somebody else in a similar conversation pointed out zoom in. There is a silver bead on the end of Nightcrawler's rosary that just blends in, and if you zoom in, there is a cross on that bead. Like it's a silver medallion bead. Now there's not a dangly cross hanging. But there is a bead with a cross on it. So, like, small details, I get it. It's, you're not going to make everybody happy with any direction you take. But, and somebody also said that they made Nightcrawler too woke in this one. And I'm like, I could see a little, cultural spanning scenarios going on. But for the vast majority, I felt like he was pretty faithful.
I thought so too. I was worried.
Oh, of course. I'm worried every time they do something with Nightcrawler. There aren't that many godly presences in the world of comics, and I want to hang on to them as much as I can. So when Daredevil, Nightcrawler, occasionally Shepherd Book, and whoever else you want to do are actually repping Jesus well, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Please and thank. So if you haven't watched X-Men 97, do it. Do it now.
Yeah.
We'll be here waiting. We're just going to fill like 8 hours of silence now while you catch up.
Well, it's only like what 10 episodes at 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not even. It's
4 hours. 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours tops. You'll be fine. But we'll still be here. We'll be waiting. Don't rush. We've got you. But that is going to do it for our look at news and the industry and all that good stuff. So as always, you can join in the conversation with Hector and I over on the Love Thy Nerd Discord channel. We got our own little comic space over there, and we can talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff all over the summer, just in general. So tell us what you liked, what you hated, or possibly what we missed. And over the last couple of weeks, we might have missed a lot, or maybe we truly didn't miss anything. And that's just the way that it is.
Blast.
You know what I finished it, and you actually had something.
Well, no. What I did have is, did you read Doom #1?
No.
there's a new Doctor Doom book.
Oh, I saw that, and I kept going, do I really want to do this?
I wanted to read
no.
it. I wanted to read it, but here's why. And I mentioned this on my little Friday morning news show thingy. This Doctor Doom book, and why I wanted this Doctor Doom book, is it pays tribute to MF Doom because it's the first Doctor Doom book since MF Doom.
I did not know that.
Which there were none on my shelves because of that, probably. The book opens, or at least I've seen the panels. There are panels of the book where it's literally just quoting MF Doom lyrics.
Let's go. Okay, I take everything back. I will now be finding this because,
Well, and I had it in my mind because my shop was sold out to buy it digitally so I could read it and put that as my number one. But life. So
it do be that way sometimes.
I might magically have a number one by the time Chris is done talking. So we'll see.
Let's go. All right. Well, I mean, it's time for you to hit it. So let's talk about some comic books. Yeah. See? So no,
it's my turn. Oh. Let me be
sorry to make you podcast.
So first off, this was a not great month or 2 weeks or whatever.
I concur on that full-heartedly because I made it. I usually don't make it to the comic book store 2 separate times before we record. I usually make it like the second week going into a recording weekend and pick everything up. But this week I actually made it because I'm trying to support my local guy a little more frequently than that. And I think I only spent $60 on comics where I normally spend $100. And see, man, I take the financial hit for y'all.
I don't even want to spend $100. Like I'm comfortable at the $50-$60 mark, but I feel you. But I bought 8 books in a 2-week window. Right? Is my math incorrectly? Yeah, I bought 8
No,
books.
I bet you're probably right.
Out of that 8 books, man.
I was gonna say if I only had read 8 books, I probably couldn't fill.
Now here's what I'm gonna tell you. I'm not telling you that these are good.
You're saying that you read them.
I'm saying out of the 8 I read, this is the top 4 out of the 8 I read. Now,
let's go.
If I read Dr. Doom while Chris is talking, maybe we'll see where that goes.
He'll come back and be like, hey,
actually, that was pretty good.
That was okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I figured especially you'd want to know about the MF Doom thing.
Yeah, I feel kind of sad that I missed that, actually.
Well, stop being a hater.
Bruh. It's a good thing I like you. How dare you?
What is that book called? Is it Doom?
I'm pretty sure it's just called Doom. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say Doom. Yeah. Yes. May 15th, 2024. $7 on Kindle.
Yeah, I believe it. I think that like literally I looked at the authors and the artists and I went, I don't think I need it.
Oh, it's Hickman. Oh, well, here's the thing. You know what? I know Sanford.
I'd be okay with. Yeah, still.
Sanford is a homie. Again, I say, I might not buy this during this podcast. I might try and find a physical copy. So I'm paying $7.
Might as well actually have it.
Yeah, for reals.
All right, hold on. What is Midtown? Maybe they got a.
Oh, it's one shot too.
Yeah, no, it's just a one. I am not a fan of this. $7 to $10 one shot nonsense that's still going on.
Okay. Either way, it's got MF Doom lyrics in it. God bless you and your family. I think I'm done now. So out of what I read, let's start with Nightwing. You said, based solely on the artwork and the story pitch, that this might be something that you should pick up.
Then I still didn't.
Then you still didn't.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm going to tell you. This is called the fall of. Quitting the microphone. This is called Fallen Grayson number 1 of 5. This is the end of Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing since Leaping into the Light, which has been stellar work across the board. It's been the most consistent DC book I've read. For your sake, this is not a jumping on point, and it is 100% a wrap up to everything prior.
Interesting.
So even whatever it looks like, don't do this. Don't jump in here if you're not going to pick up.
Just said don't do it.
No, it's great, but this is literally like jumping into the last 15 minutes of a movie. So if you're reading Nightwing, keep reading Nightwing. It's bringing you to the climax of the whole Heartless story. Nightwing has been struggling since a certain point with a fear of heights.
Okay, that doesn't work out very well for a Flying Grayson,
right? And so part of this is him going like solo mountain climbing to like kind of regain that.
Got you.
But it's also a big climactic story of everything it's led up to. So it's consistent. It's still great. You get a good chunk of the Bat family here. You get Heartless proving to be one of the best DC villain additions to the universe in a hot minute. And realistically speaking, if Heartless doesn't transfer to the rest of DC proper, I'm going to be rather sad about it. Because he is a good addition. There's that.
That happened.
Yep. She-Hulk number 8, which is picking up from the previous wacky romance triangle that we saw ahead of time. And yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Like literally the whole thing was She-Hulk and her nuclear boyfriend went to space to go on vacation, and he ran into the woman he had previously pledged to serve for the rest of his life.
Oops. That's awkward.
And so he's supposed to be her like life servant for the rest of eternity. And then immediately after that, his previous girlfriend / life servant partner is contracted to kill She-Hulk.
That is more awkward.
And so that's where the last issue ended, and this is the resolution of all that. And it's a lot of relational stuff, a lot of talky, a little kissy. It was good. I have zero complaints about it. I enjoyed it better than the last one. And yeah, this is a very relational book. So razzle dazzle. Let's see. And I'm going to stop by saying, based on quality alone, my polls would stop after this one. If I were to
that's about as good as it got, huh?
Like, well, with Wonder Woman number 9 is kind of where, like, after this, I'm done. There isn't anything of high quality I would highly recommend beyond this. This does pick up with where we left off, but in a similar state of, instead of the Sovereign trying to manipulate with her with scripture and the lasso of lies, the whole book is Wonder Woman in solitary confinement, being starved and isolated to death.
Yeah. It was an interesting read from that perspective. It took me a while to completely embrace what I was digesting, but this is some Tom King stuff.
And here's the thing, you know how like Guitar Hero, there's that meter of like you rock, you suck.
Yeah.
Like if the you rock meter of Tom King is Mr. Miracle and Batman 53, and the you suck meter is, guess what it is, Chris?
It's starting to fall.
No. What's the far end of the you suck meter?
Oh,
on
you
the
rock.
Tom King.
Yeah.
On the Tom King scale.
Oh, on the Tom King, the top?
No, the far you suck. What's the you suck far right?
Oh. We're gonna get it. Hey,
go ahead. Say
if you're an audience member, you should know the answer to this is dragging your dead mother through the desert in a coffin.
In a coffin. If this
Thanks, Tom King.
Yeah. If this issue like was on the Guitar Hero thing, I think we moved a little more towards the you suck end of things.
There were a lot of words here, and I don't know if they were beneficial. Kind of, because I found myself skipping some panels because I was like, okay, I think I see what's going on. Good. Get to the point. Good.
Well, and that's the thing. This is not linear storytelling. This is internal dialogue while Wonder Woman is sitting in isolation, having a fictional conversation with, I guess all comics are fictional conversations, but having a fictitious conversation with the part of Steve Trevor that lives inside of her. There are some good lines.
Yep.
There's some good lines like when you love someone, you give them part of your soul, like stuff like that. There's great writing, but it's not like a great story. So the entire story can be summed up. She was in isolation for an undetermined amount of time, and she focused on the positive things to keep her from going insane. The end.
Mm-hmm. Right. Nailed it.
So the whole issue is just what's going on in her head while she's in isolation. So knowing that this portion of the story is a 3-story act. We had the Sovereign and the Rope of Lies in Scripture. We had her in isolation. Whatever the third act of this is going to have to be like a killer to pull this 3-issue arc back towards Mr. Miracle.
Back towards less suck. I will say they gave us Jumpa though.
Yeah, we got Jumpa. So
if you know, you know.
Yeah. And just for the sheer mathematics of it, I'm going to throw Batman and Robin in here.
Against my will, here is a book that I did in fact read this week.
Now let me say this. I would have put Blood Hunt #2 there,
but somebody else already did. Oh,
yeah, but somebody else already did it.
So that means Blood Hunt didn't actually suck then. Chris might have been sort of right about something.
No, it was just better than Batman and Robin.
That's fair.
Here's the other books I read
on this. Yeah, okay.
On the Blood, so out of the 4 remaining books I had were Red Hood, The Hill #4.
Yep.
Superman #14, which is in the middle of a giant crossover. Now, here's the thing: Josh Williamson has been killing it on Superman, but when you have a giant 4-part crossover with 4 other books, I'm not buying those.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Which means this story is ineffective. Just reading Superman,
because aren't they isn't it a Brainiac thing?
It's a Brainiac thing with an army of Lobos.
No, come on. Why is DC and Marvel doing this to us? It's okay.
So it's Brainiac with an army of Lobos, and it crosses over to Batman or to Superman, Supergirl, and Green Lantern, and something else.
Sure.
But again, out of these, I'm gonna go with Batman and Robin. You do get the true identity of Shush and her connection to Tommy Elliott.
That's where they dropped that.
9, yeah. They gave us a 6-issue red herring.
That checks out.
Because there was somebody else from Damian's life in there. And look, in one panel, you get one glorious picture of Hush out of this whole book.
How'd that make you feel?
It was nice. Honestly, it was nice to see Tommy Elliott on a page again. You get a Tommy Elliott page of him as a surgeon, but you get one Hush page because she's part of Hush's backstory.
Okay, did in your honest opinion, seeing as that's like Hector's jam and a half,
mm-hmm.
did that pay off, or is Sus just still silly?
Okay.
Asking the hard-hitting questions here.
She was connected to Tommy Elliott and found a lot of her identity and who he was. And when Batman was responsible for him going away, she felt lost.
Oh.
Yeah. So, not a love interest, not a daughter, anything like that, just a medical student or whatever. And like, I'm happy that there was a Hush tie-in because
Sure.
it's been a minute. So, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, that happened, I guess.
But not the problem, but like where it's losing me is that this book has become a Man-Bat book above everything else.
Awesome.
That the whole thing is that Man-Bat is experimenting on half of what Bastion was doing with the people Sentinels, he's doing with Man-Bats.
Oh,
like people are sleeper Man-Bats and he's poisoning them and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, man. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the books I read. Yay.
so those happened.
Honestly, Nightwing was good, but I didn't love anything I read this month or this 2 week whatever. I didn't love any of it. Not a thing. Not a thing. I was okay with it. With half of it. I didn't love it. I didn't love any of it.
All right, that's fair.
So Razzle
Dazzle. I read Blood Hunt, number dose, as was alluded to. I kind of am in the same place. I don't know if I would say love, but I would say Marvel got me to read more than the number one of an event.
And I'll say this: Blood Hunt number 2 was fun to read.
And some of
the team dynamics were good.
Yep, that's where I'm at in this series. Is it's still kind of okay. DC did the whole vampire/zombies thing and made lots and lots of money, so let's revisit this whole thing. And Blade Breaking Bad doesn't really shock me in any way, shape, or form. So whatever. He's basically trying to be the king of the vampires, even in a Marvel world where Dracula exists and isn't actually in charge, is super kind of fun. This book is all of Blood Hunt is just literally off the wall. Like, it's kind of broken how insane lots of different pieces are. And I'm reading some of the associated books to find out whether you should I'm sticking with you should mostly just read the main line, because the Amazing Spider-Man one came close to me saying that was pretty good, because it's just fun. Because Spider-Man is kind of one of the more fun characters in my mind in this whole thing at the moment, because he's like, vampires, and he's just kind of dealing with it. And there's tons of great dialogue to that note in the middle of all this insanity of, the world is plunged in the darkness. Blade's trying to find his daughter. And random Avengers are trying to make sense of the whole world and everything. And I'm trying to find it, because I did almost kind of laugh out loud when Spider-Man showed up and they're like, "Hey, we've been looking for you." And he's like, "Yeah, I've been busy." And he was like, "Wait, you're not Moon Knight. Are you the other Moon Knight?" Another Moon Knight? Moon Knight? Question mark. And I was like, okay, well done. So Blood Hunt is just crazy. And they did a super fun thing with Doctor Strange, I thought, too, with, he turned Doctor Strange, who was close to finding a cure and everything, but Doctor Strange was able to separate his astral self. So his astral self is like trying to like help the Avengers and be like, yeah, I'm kind of busy being a vampire over there, and that's bad, but I'm gonna do what I can over here in the astral plane. And I'm like, okay, that's fun, that's clever. Captain Marvel does some pretty sweet Captain Marvel stuffs. Just in terms of Marvel being fun, I feel like this is fun for a change.
Yeah.
And it's at least well done enough that I actually want to keep reading it, as opposed to being like, all right, some Avenger stuff ends up just being a lot. I don't know if there's any other way to explain that there's a lot of times I read Avengers events and I go, way too many people, way too much stuff going on. This is actually not that fun. This is just vampires. And so far is pretty darn fun. But
very generic vampires too. Not like vampires with a backstory. Like,
no, I mean, some are present there. Villains. Like, you can care that Dracula in Marvel canon is here and is like in charge of like a small army kind of thing. But outside of that, it's like, cool, it's Dracula. So I'm about it. I did read Union Jack the Ripper, wanting to love everything about that and them not sticking that landing at all. They literally just wanted to find a reason to utter the phrase Union Jack
the
Ripper and not do anything with it. So that disappointed me greatly. But there you go. Blood Hunt. Kind of fun. Because I was on that similar journey of what on earth am I going to say? Uncanny Valley #2 came out, which was Boom's weird book where that kid gets saved by his cartoon grandpa and goes into the cartoon world or something like that. So still weird, but you're at least, kind of unpacking the details of what this whole thing is about. Is that, his entire family is basically half-toon, so is he. And he's starting to find out what that means and what that can mean. And there's foils of a lot of, Saturday morning cartoon type stuff that a lot of folks grew up with, because, like, his grandpa is not Yosemite Sam, but is. And when they go into the thing, they run into a Wile E. Coyote, but they just call him the Dingo. And he keeps trying to blow him up with sticks of dynamite.
Great.
It's crazy. There's lots of nonsense going on here. But he's basically teaching the kid that he does know how to be a cartoon and basically how to use toon abilities to, well, not die. It's still not super explanatory in what's going on and why. But the art's good. The story kind of holds up. So if you're looking for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but like in the reverse, sort of, that's what's happening. It's interesting. And it might get me through at least one more issue if they decide to tell us where we're going. Ultimate X-Men might be the first book in a while that I finish all the way through an arc, because Peach Momoko is just doing cool stuff here. I'm hearing from other folks that everyone's having a love-hate relationship with this, because some people don't like the writing when Peach does both sides of everything. But frankly, because of how cultural this is, I really dig it. Because still doing the thing that the last page is always, any Japanese cultural topics that were discussed are fully explained in what they are and why they're important. So that's kind of fun. But it's also just this process of all these X-Men characters in their alternate universe origin story, and that they all go basically to a Japanese high school. So I'm waiting for a 1A reference in here somewhere.
Right.
Because totally coming. But instead of they kind of give us a peek at what looks like one or two other additional mutants, but this is the first book in this series that the word mutant is uttered. So we have Armor and Storm currently up, and this book ended up going back and basically being a complete origin story for Storm in this context, and it's a little rough. Provide the trigger warning, if you will, there, of where Storm finds their power here is from being abused by her father. That literally, when she gets struck by her father for being, I don't know, basically a teenager in this sense, her hair goes white and she has a firmer grasp on her ability for weather, and she gets thrown out from her family. The word mutant isn't even uttered in this context yet. But at the end of the book, both Armor and Storm are on a playground, and another character is being set up, and that character's like, huh, you guys are mutants too. And all of them do, what? And that's kind of where this issue drops off. So far, it's a very interesting look at the whole thing through a Japanese cultural view. And I'm enjoying that journey because there's a lot there. But I guess some people are getting bored with it. And so I guess I can see why people would do that. But to me, it's kind of an interesting look at the X-Men and where a lot of some of the X-mutants came from. But we haven't quite seen what this world thinks of mutants yet. So I have a feeling that gut punch could still be coming. And finally, Ghost Machine continues to do pretty freaking good with their stuff. And Redcoat is now one of the most insane alternate history books. I told you last time, it's about this British soldier that defects at the Battle of Trenton and accidentally becomes immortal when Ben Franklin was supposed to become immortal. And at the end of the first book, he meets a very young Albert Einstein. So this is the journey of Albert Einstein and the main character Pure here. Because when Pure's resurrected, Albert Einstein digs him up and he's like, I think I know what you are. And this character's like, what? Shenanigans ensue, and he's like, okay, I need to go find the only other immortal that I'm aware of. And he tells a very short story of basically over the last 100 years or so, there's been one other immortal that he tripped over that went through a similar experience. Don't know whose immortality he stole, but he did. And they basically arrive at a party thrown by one Benedict Arnold. And this is just the gift that keeps giving in my mind because it's just utter insanity of alternate histories.
So if you're a history nerd, this is fun.
It's, well, also just pure absurdity to an extent. Yeah, because that's what I got. That there's an entire bio on Albert Einstein in the back as his young self, who is written in very broken English throughout. But like the art's really cool. There's like really crazy stuff going on in the pages, and it's like, this is just comic books, man. Like, this is pulpy, and I like it.
So something you said in there also triggered a news memory thing for me. Did you hear about Venom 3 this week?
No. You said Venom, so no.
Okay. So, and I got this from moderately reliable sources, but I'm going to say take this with a grain of salt.
Breaking news.
This came from a plot synopsis test thing, like of people that are doing like approvals of movie scripts and stuff.
Right.
Was it Toxic? Was the one that was set up at the end of the second movie?
Bro, I don't know. I still have not seen any of those movies.
Really?
Yup. It's on my waiting for a rainy day to just plow through them.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. The first Venom was okay. The second Venom was like window dressing. Like, let's give you the appearance of Carnage, but a bad executed story. Yeah. And then you also get... and then I guess it's No Way Home that's got Danny Rojas and Venom in it. Yeah. At the post-credit scene. Okay.
Yeah.
So Venom 3...
That was about the time I went, I guess I should go back and watch these.
Yeah. Venom 3 is reportedly going to be that one of the symbiotes that was set up at the end of the second movie is going to basically create a handful of other, including one of the symbiotes that is Scream. Like, do you know who Scream is?
No.
And the symbiotes, you don't know who Scream is?
I literally almost care negative about anything in Venom canon.
Like Maximum Carnage era, bro?
Yeah. Even including.
Oh. Hurts Mark Bagley's heart, man. Jeez, man.
Yeah,
that Spider-Man.
I don't
that
know
Maximum
why,
Carnage video game on Super Nintendo was fire. And I think half my knowledge came from that. Either way, I guess you need to know, and any other muggles out there that are not interested, is that it appears that Keeley from Ted Lasso is going to be not only Eddie Brock's potential love interest in this, but she's going to be Scream the symbiote. But where what you said triggered things, because of how Venom traveled over in No Way Home and gained the knowledge that Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
Right.
The hive mind of the symbiote now has that knowledge. And their goal is to go kill Peter Parker in Venom's world because he's the one who will eventually defeat Venom or kill Venom.
So it's the Terminator.
But wait, there's more, because it is. If what I'm reading is correct, is that Peter Parker's 10 in this. And so Venom has to go from being like the one that's, going to kill Peter Parker, that he has to become Peter Parker's, wait for it, lethal protector.
I hate everything about this.
That's the news. It's some comics. And we don't have number ones. So
yeah, neither of us. So yeah,
Doom would have been it, I guess. But
I guess just for the MF Doom references alone, go read Doom #1 that neither of us have read yet. Because something happened this month, because no #1, not one.
Now, I also didn't get to go browse my comic shop the last 2 weeks.
I did 4 hours ago.
And had I done that, maybe I would have found something, but my schedule did not permit it. So,
I mean, that checks out.
I had to send people to get comics for me. I'm having people on the streets for y'all. On the streets.
We're out on these comic book streets for you.
I had a poet hand deliver my comics to a street festival. Son, for y'all.
Let's go. That's how much you all mean to each and every one of us. Yeah.
They call this man the most handsome man in poetry, and he was delivering comics for
you.
Yeah, somebody calls him that. It's not me.
Aw. So, yeah, that's going to do it for us here at the Polis Podcast. Episode 102 is in the books and now in your ears, your eyeballs, because you can absorb this content in many different ways now. You can catch us on YouTube. We even have our own YouTube channel now. We just found that out. We're like awesome and stuff because Matt did the thing. Matt still has to go back to the beginning of this episode and do that other thing we told him to do, but this is awesome.
We're on the televisions, Matt. Get us IMDb.
The IMDb. But we seriously can't do this alone. We need people like Matt and other folks that do editing for us over at Love Thy Nerd on the podcast network, of which we are part of. We're on that Love Thy Nerd podcast network and have been for the last 5 years. So you can visit lovethynerd.com to find other stuffs, other shows. Hector does 5 billion other things over there.
I just did a show about losing your spouse when they die and how to deal with grief, because that's fun.
Dang.
That happened.
Yeah. that happened. Hector handles all the things from, the seriouses and all the way to the comic books. So head over to lovethynerd.com for other shows, episodes, etc. You can get depressed by Hector or uplifted by Hector. Just depends on the episode. But wait, there is more. We've been telling you this for the last couple episodes, and basically episode.
And shout out to Subdue the Day.
Yeah. Got those hardcore editing shops for those of you that do the podcast listenings. Small army of people bring you this wonderful product that we call the Pull List Podcast. But you can also catch us on the Glue Network, GLU, on your Roku or your smart TV. You can download on the iPhone, the Androids, but Glue exists to unlock the inspirational value of faith-centric programming, partnering with Christian content creators like us. And like Love Thy Nerd, the Pull List Podcast, we're all over there. So we are proud to join our friends God Squad Church and Unity Gaming as the first group of nerd culture channels over there on the platform. Download the GLU Network app today and search for Love Thy Nerd, and you can watch us on your very own televisions. I haven't tried that yet. I should do that. And I can be like, I'm on TV. I can do the Leo thing. Woo!
Yeah.
So truthfully, as we wrap up this season to take a break for the next couple months, don't worry, Hector and I shall return this fall. And we do want to thank you from the very bottom of our hearts for choosing us as your primary comic book knowledge factory on mostly it's not really weekly. It's the near bi-weekly basis. So don't leave us hanging. Rate, review the show on all of your apps of choice. As stated, we're over there on that Glue Network, on the YouTube, the iTunes, the Spotify, the Stitcher Radio. I mean, I think if it's on the internet, we're probably there. It's been 5 years. We're everywhere.
We're on MySpace.
we have a MySpace page. Go check out Hector's playlist opportunities.
You can be in our top 5.
Top 5. Right next to Tom. He's still our number one friend. So thanks for hanging out with us. And as always, read more comics.
More comics.
I'm going to take all 7 continents of the game of...
We've already been chattering for a few minutes, so you missed all the good pre-show stuff. Sorry.
That's right, guys. You get it on the Save It for the Podcast.
We did.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better bring next song. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
Greetings, true believers, and welcome to the Pull List Podcast, your bi-weekly podcast about comics, faith, and culture. My name is Hector Miray, and I am joined by the magnanimous Todd Turner of Mosaic Fan Art. And we're here to talk with you about comics, faith, pop culture, news, and all the shenanigans in between.
Yeah.
Todd, how you been, dude?
I'm okay. You're not going to tell everybody to wash their hands?
Did I do that last time?
You did, because they're about to get pulled.
Oh. I'll say we'll do some chit chat, and then I'll tell you.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited for DC All In and One World Under Doom coming soon.
Yeah, I might need to subscribe to that, to the Doom one. But yeah, All In's gonna. Which one's in Absolute's like the Ultimate Universe, right?
The Absolute is going to be like the Ultimate Universe, yeah.
By the way, it's a bit older. I've watched a fair amount of DC animated stuff this past few weeks.
Okay.
Have you? And it's not everybody's jam, and it's borderline demonic, so you could take that with a grain of holy salt. But Batman Doom. Or the Doom that came to Gotham?
I may have watched it. Is that the one with John Constantine in it?
No, that's like Dark.
That's the one with Dark Side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a more recent one.
Okay.
And it's one set, let's say 1900. But it's Batman and Cthulhu.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay,
it's
then.
full Lovecraft and
That's
stuff
crazy.
of and it feels like an episode of like True Detective or or like
Horror story.
American Horror Story. But it starts off with uh Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, and it took me until seeing his name in print, but they Johnny quested Jason Todd and Dick Grayson. So Dick Grayson was the Johnny Quest, and Jason was
Was the Punjab?
Yes, he was Sanjay, like Jason. He was
Oh my
Sanjay
gosh, that's horrible.
Todd, Thawd.
Oh wow. Okay, well,
But they also had Cassandra Cain, and they also had like another
everybody else
one,
had their regular names except for poor Jason Todd.
and he was Sanjay Todd.
The Roja. What's the word for hood? I don't know.
Yeah, and it was like I was like, what? But
Roja
they
Cabeza
were straight
cover.
up they were going for the Johnny Quest vibe of like
Okay.
he's collected a group of ragtag orphans from around the world.
Well, that's Batman for you.
Yeah, and but it falls down to the fact that on an expedition into the Arctic, Oswald Cobblepot and somebody else uncovers basically a frozen Cthulhu.
Sort of like The Thing. John
Yes,
Carpenter's The
very
Thing.
much, very much. And it starts to come back to Gotham, and he's very like, nah, science. And then Etrigan shows up.
Nah, science. Does he rhyme? Because
He
if
does rhyme.
Extrigan's
He
not
does rhyme.
rhyming, I don't.
He does rhyme. But then Oliver Queen is
Holy cow, it's
basically
got everybody in there.
it does, dude. And
It's like Justice League Dark.
this may be, but it's all 1900 Justice League.
Gotcha.
But this has potentially the best Oliver Queen I've seen represented in a long time.
Well, okay.
It's also got the Al Ghouls. Um, it's got some Cthulhu eyes villains and stuff like that, but it really does boil down to like a very HP Lovecraftian story. And I watched it, just putting it on when I was like doing some mindless work, and I was like, this will be just something to skim through. And
So
dang
you
it,
actually had to pay attention.
it was actually probably one of the better DC animated pieces I've watched in a minute.
Okay.
So,
Well, I
like,
know that the final chapter of Crisis is supposed to be dropping here soon. So
good. And I also watched Justice League, or no, Suicide Squad Isekai.
I think you're just making stuff up.
I am. Y'all are just looking on Max for this stuff. And it's like, this isn't real. No, they made a Suicide Squad anime where the Suicide Squad is sent into another dimension, which is basically Dungeons and Dragons
Oh, fun.
level stuff.
Yeah.
And they have to help liberate this Dungeons and Dragons level kingdom and also keep making it back to a portal to reactivate their bombs before they blow up.
Sounds like a video game right there. It's what
It does, and
like
it would have been better than the Suicide Squad video game. But the end credits involves Amanda Waller doing a seductive dance.
Oh, that's nasty. No,
But it's not like scandalous, but she's like,
that's terrible.
it's
That's
so
terrible.
weird,
If any
bro.
of you all are just listening to this on the podcast, you need to go watch the video on Glue or on the YouTube to see Hector's impression of Amanda Waller doing a seductive dance.
Now, but here's the deal.
Well
If
worth
you
the price
watch
of
that
admission.
clip, you'll think I'm accurate.
It can't be any worse than Tom Cruise doing the Tropic Thunder dance.
Bro, that is one of the funniest things
That is hilarious.
of all times. I
Yes.
like beep beep whoop whoop.
Les Grossman.
And the fact that he insisted on the prosthetic
I
knuckles.
know, that is hilarious.
I digress.
Shout out to the guy. I know we're falling away out the.
So, wash your hands. 'Cause
You're About to get
Get
pulled.
pulled? Yeah, you're about to get pulled. Okay. What?
Bring out the Germex.
Bring out the Sherpex. What news do you have for us, Todd?
Um, so we briefly talked about some of this stuff, but Hellboy is going straight to streaming
In America.
Oh, really?
In America.
I got it. So October the 8th for 19.99, you can have it on Amazon.
It comes out in theaters in the UK Friday.
Oh, this week.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow when we're recording it.
I wonder why they're not dropping it here. I guess they just don't think it'll have enough.
Well, I don't think it's an American production.
Okay.
So I think it would cost more to drop in America and to promote it. And here's the deal. If they're ready to put it out in theaters in the UK and they haven't promoted it more than they have here, there's no way it's going to function.
There's no way. Nobody
would
go see
you're going up against stuff like The Wild Robot, which is dropping this weekend.
It looks great, by the way.
Oh, can't wait to cry. It's going to be wonderful.
I know. It's awesome.
But yeah, it's going straight to streaming for America.
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 Streaming.
I never watched the David Harbour Hellboy.
I did. Not great. I mean, it was okay. I think the problem with it was that we were so used to seeing Ron Perlman as Hellboy that seeing David Harbour as him he looked like it didn't look good.
Well, here is, and I mean zero shade in this statement. This is just my perspective. Anytime any nerd thing you add Milla Jovovich to, you are not adding credit.
Oh, come on, man. Fifth Element's amazing.
Past that.
Okay. Lilu Multipass?
I will give her Fifth Element all day long. And I understand that she worked hard on the Resident Evil movies, but those weren't Resident Evil movies.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Raccoon City.
That was a Milla Jovovich vehicle. Now, the first one was pretty accurate-ish for a fictional story, but there's so much story and lore to the Resident Evil franchise that if you're creating original characters to tell your movies, you're wasting resources.
From a guy who's never played the video game, I would watch a Resident Evil movie any day, just because it just is like a end of, a fall of man zombie flick is basically what it feels like. So I wouldn't watch it for her. I watched it for, just that fall of man zombie vibe. So anyway, so yep, it's going to be on streaming on Amazon. You can go ahead and pre-order it now.
For Hellboy?
Yeah.
Well, I will watch it. I fully intend to watch it, but I will
probably watch it, but I'm not going to pay $20 though. I'll wait.
Oh yeah.
I'm a cheapskate.
I do need to go back and watch the David Harbour one though.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's what I have to say. What kind of news you got, brother? We gonna go back and forth?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Where do I just put my news? There is Marvel's launching a Rogue Savage Land limited series in 2025 of January.
Okay, I did hear this.
Yep.
This has full 90s vibes to me. Like the Fleer big bathing suit trading cards. Yes. So the last time I remember her being in the Savage Land, she and Magneto had a thing going on. So I'm wondering, is this set in continuity? Is this
because it's a limited series, I highly doubt it. Yeah. This might be set from when she was there with Magneto.
Gotcha. See, that's what they're doing with that Wolverine Revenge book. I bought that because Jonathan Hickman and Capullo were drawing and writing it, and then I bought it, and I felt like I was bait and switched. It was like, yeah, this is Wolverine, but it has nothing to do with anything. It's just I want to tell a story, and I don't know. As an old guy, I sort of want to have my books to have meaning. I'm saying this about fictional characters. I want my books to have meaning. So,
listen, fiction has meaning, dude.
It does. I know. Yeah. James Gunn is supposedly working on a Superman book for DC for 2025. That's the rumor, and it's rumored to be drawn by Jim Lee.
Well, if you're going to say, I believe in Harvey Dent, that's one way to do it, is to get Jim Lee to draw your book.
There you go. I know.
It's like saying, "Hey,
Mhm.
I support your movies and such here." Now, but I'll say I will stand firmly by this. And what's one of the reasons why I'm comfortable with James Gunn making this Superman movie is James Gunn knows this crap really well.
Yeah, he
And
does.
did you ever watch Brightburn?
Uh, no, no. I did watch the first 40 minutes of the one with the super, where they did like one of his first movies with uh what Dwight as wanting to be a superhero.
Super? Yeah.
Yeah, Super. That was a pretty good movie.
Well, you only watched the first 30 minutes of that?
Yeah, 30, 40 minutes. Yeah, that's about as far as I
Oh
got.
no, you need like
It was a
I'm not
little uncomfortable. I was a little uncomfortable in it, so I was like,
as you will be, and trust me, if you only watch the first 30 minutes, you'll be much more uncomfortable.
okay, well there you go. So maybe I should just stay away. Just go with what I've got. But anyway, you said if I have seen Brightburn.
So
I have not,
Brightburn
but I know that.
does take place in the same universe as Super,
Okay, all right.
but only because of one TV thing. But Brightburn is what if,
Like Superman was a psycho kid.
yeah, it's what if Clark Kent landed, and it gives you the same Ma and Pa story,
Mhm.
but the kid's evil.
Yeah,
And so it goes, what if Clark Kent was a horror movie? And
yeah, that's
it it
bad.
it ends that way. Um
Man.
and but like at the end of the film, it's talking about like in the as the credits are rolling, you see a news broadcast talking about this kid who's evil Superman, and the Crimson Bolt is in the bottom left corner
Nice. Okay.
as at listing of it. But yeah, Brightburn is here's where I was going with that. Brightburn was a better Superman movie than half the Superman movies.
Well, Mark Wade let it slip on a podcast, I think this week, that because they were talking to him about James Gunn doing Superman and all that, and he's like, "Listen, he knows his stuff. I mean, he's putting a dog in it with heat vision coming out of his eyes, so it's like, oh, it's for sure that Crypto will be in the Superman movie, and we will see Crypto use heat vision. That's per Mark Wade.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they had hinted that he had the dog, but which means I hope Crypto shows up in the Supergirl show movie, whatever the heck it's supposed to be.
Well, it would have to because Crypto's the main character
Yeah, I
in
mean he gets
the super.
sort of that's her motivation for going after the person in the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Now, I
So,
will say this: the young lady who's playing Supergirl is
mhm,
phenomenal on House of Dragon.
okay. They just
Uh,
announced who the villain was going to be, who that guy was, and I wasn't familiar with him. So
who is it?
I don't know. I didn't
Okay,
write it down because I didn't know who he was.
okay.
That's what old farts do. Get
On
off my lawn.
on more superhero casting and cinematic news, um, the world of the boys got another big nerd name added to its roster this week. David Diggs
I saw that.
of Hamilton and Snowpiercer is now going to be playing a role in the final season of The Boys.
Okay.
So that's fun.
Which I couldn't do.
You should not. That
Yeah.
is that is
That's
not
definitely an adulty show.
that
And
is
it's not even for all adults.
no. That
So
is for
I tried.
as the
I,
scriptures say, for those with seared consciences.
I tried. I wanted to give it a good old college try, but
Oh no, bro.
no, I couldn't do it.
That is
It's
not your I would
it's not
that
my
would be
jam.
that's a no.
Yeah. Um Absolute Batman is our number one has already gone back for second printing.
Good.
So they put it at over 250,000 copies. So 250,000 copies of Absolute Batman number one. So there goes my, wanting to speculate. Nobody would know about the book, and I would buy a bunch of them and then sell them later but that's not going
Yeah,
to
I don't
happen.
think that's
So
gonna work, bro.
yeah, it's sort of like all my multiple issues of X-Force number one polybag to downstairs, my 20 copies. They're not really worth that much, except for the one that has the Deadpool card in it, other than that. So
And
yeah,
we also got wait, you just said something, right? Um
yeah,
and we also got our casting for Hal Jordan for the Green Lantern TV series.
yeah.
Um
Kyle McLaughlin, right?
I forget his last name, but yeah, dude from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, it's solid. It's not like a wow, but I mean, the dude can act.
Yeah. Between him and Greg Kinnear, I could see
As
anything on
long
that.
as as long as Nathan Fillion doesn't drop out being Guy Gardner, it's all cool.
Yeah. If Nathan Fillion would be a fantastic Hal Jordan, but I'm excited to see him be Guy Gardner. So.
Yeah, you're right. He would be a fantastic guy. Hal Jordan. Put him back in that leather bomber jacket. He'd look like, the dude from Firefly almost.
Yeah. Well, he's played Hal Jordan a handful of times.
No, really? Oh, voice acting.
Voice acting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's played Hal Jordan a handful of times, and I want to think in the video game Injustice.
Really?
I think he was Hal Jordan in that as well.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, Alan Tudyk was Green Arrow in Injustice.
That's so good.
Was with the classic,
yes, vibe. The Green Arrow. Great. Yeah, that's so
good. But then they released the Stephen Amell thing.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if I think this has happened since we did the last podcast. Did you see the stuff with Stephen Amell?
No,
and
nothing.
Peacemaker and James Gunn?
No.
Stephen Amell went on a podcast and was very offended and upset and took great comeuppance with James Gunn and John Cena for a Green Arrow joke in Peacemaker season 1.
Okay, so I watched Peacemaker season 1 like 2 or 3 times. I don't remember the joke.
Whoa. You watched that show more than once?
Yeah. 100%.
What's up? It's it's not even like a big long joke. It's just like
I mean, goodness gracious, they make all the jokes about Aquaman. Yeah. It's a wonder that Jason Momoa didn't come out and say anything, but dude, it's come on.
But my problem is that he took it as offense of them
like it's an attack on him
or the CW shows. I was like,
oh,
they attacked every major DC character. It's about the character, not you, bro. Yeah. And I hate to say it this way, but nobody's thinking about you.
I didn't. Right? No.
But he said that Green Arrow goes to Brony conventions as the back half of a Twilight Sparkle costume.
Oh, nice.
And
Twilight Sparkle costume.
Or something to that effect. But it was like, it wasn't a CW
a throwaway
joke.
It was a throwaway joke too.
It was probably something that John Cena made up off the cuff. But like,
yeah, probably so.
He took it as James Gunn intentionally crapping on the CW verse.
My money's on John Cena in that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. My last piece of news is about Mark Millar, because I know we're all excited to hear about him again. So apparently he's been in the talks of writing a Superman story for DC. He's supposed to be writing one for next year, but then Marvel came up to him and said, "We want you to do something." And he's like, "Well, if I'm going to do something, I want it to be big. I want it to be bigger than Civil War." And they're like, "Fine, you can do something, whatever you want." And he goes, "But I got to do the Superman thing." And then a friend of his like, "Well, like Superman's going to go public domain in 9 years. Why don't you wait? And that way you can write your Superman story any way you want without any editorial interference from DC and go ahead and do the Marvel story book now." So there you go. He's apparently going to be writing a big thing for Marvel. I don't know that I really care.
And I don't think that's right that it's going to go public domain either.
That's what they were saying. I don't know. Who knows? Oh, I did have one more piece of news.
Go for it.
Did you hear about the documentary on Kingdom Come?
Yes.
So that looks it was a Kickstarter, and there's going to be a documentary come out about the making of Kingdom Come, and how basically this Alex Ross's concept. Mark Waid was not the first author that he wanted to do, but that it's set in a desk for so daggone long that they just didn't want to touch it. So I don't know, but now there's going to be a documentary, so I can't wait to watch it. That was it. I don't know if that's relevant or not, but
hey, it's one of the most classic comics. So
I love it. I picked up 4 issues at a half price books. They were like all 4 together. It was like $10. So I was like, bought them, took them home, opened them up. All 4 of them are autographed by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. So I have a friend who's like an amazing Alex Ross fan. And I was like, tell me, are these legit? And he's like, that's legit. That's his autograph, 100%. If it's not, then somebody did an amazing job copying it. So yeah, they're all 4 autographed.
I've got mine autographed by Mark Waid, but yeah,
it's inside the cover.
Nice.
So I know it's nice. Anyway, that's all I got. What else you got? Anything?
I don't have any more news. So
all right, man.
Ready to jump into it?
Let's do it.
All right. What's your first pull?
My first pull is I had 2 that I was choosing and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I read 2 books where at the end they introduce a new ongoing book and a new team. The Avengers Annual introduced a new Infinity Watch. So I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but the Infinity Stones have taken up, they've chosen people, and there's a new Infinity Stone. It's the Death Stone, and they reincarnated Coulson. Agent Coulson is back.
Oh, nice.
And he has the Death Stone. So there's going to be a new Infinity Watch comic launched at the end of the year. But the one I really wanted to hit on most was a book that Chris isn't here to defend himself. Sorry, Chris. But that Chris reviewed the first issue and didn't like it at all. It's Outsiders, issue 11 by DC. And this is the end of the run. It's 11 issues. And Outsiders has basically been a meta book all this time about writing stories, forgotten characters, characters that have outlived their usefulness in DC lore or whatever. And one of the characters who was a member of the Outsiders ended up being Chiquita Wagner, who was one of the main characters in Planetary, which I've mentioned millions of times as I think is the best solid run. Anyway, so at the end of this book, Chiquita Wagner has decided she wants to get basically the Wildstorm books back, right? Because Planetary was isn't that right? The Wildstorm imprint for DC.
Yeah.
To get her group back. And so she's going to wipe out all fiction, basically, all the characters, and recreate the Wildstorm universe. And at the end, of course, she doesn't. And Duke and Batwoman and Lucius Fox all, come together at the end and convince her not to. And she sees her change of ways anyway, and she basically disappears. And this new group is being formed out in the ether. And they just hint at them at the end of the book about a guy who can talk to cities and another guy who does all this mystical stuff and someone who's engineering things. So they're basically going to reintroduce the Authority. We're going to get a new Authority book, and it makes sense considering they're doing a movie, right? Or a show. Mm-hmm. So they're hinting at each one of these characters. And so next year we will see a new Authority comic book come out, which I loved the old Authority book with Jenny Sparks and the Midnighter and Apollo and the Engineer and the Doctor and a couple other characters that I can't remember their names. But anyway, so yeah, Outsiders, number 11. Pick it up when it comes out in trade or read it when you get a chance, because it's a real deep book. It's not like a fun book. It was fun for me because it had a lot of nostalgia in it and it hit back to the old Planetary, but it's very, very, very meta. So yeah, that's my first one.
Okay. I'm gonna hit you with a haymaker that you're not expecting.
Uh-oh.
That I think is gonna be something you buy before this podcast is over.
What?
Ready?
Yeah.
Shabam. Have you heard of this? It is
Myth?
called The Mythmakers.
No. Mm-mm.
This is a hardback graphic novel that released straight to hardback, and it is a storytelling apparatus of the history and friendship between C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien
Oh
as
yeah, sold. Sold.
as told by personifications of themselves. And it
Amazon.
and it walks you through their complete history. Now, check how cute this art is.
Oh yeah,
C.S.
that's good.
Lewis, his archetype is depicted. Now they do realistic ones, like they'll show you
Hmm.
real C.S. Lewis and real Clive, or real Tolkien. But C.S. Lewis is depicted as a lion in a cardigan,
Nice. It was like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
and Tolkien is depicted as a nerdy wizard.
I see that. Yeah.
But and
Wow.
it literally goes through their family history, their time serving in the war, what the stuff that drove a wedge between them,
Mm.
um, down to like when they struggled with their own books, stuff like that. And it literally goes through uh their whole.
Where did you hear about this?
Okay, I'm about to tell you. One of my favorite creators is a dude named Paul who does sketchy sermons.
Oh yeah, I've heard you talk about that.
Okay, so Sketchy Sermons posted this book, and he posted it, and I'm like, just said, dang it. As soon as he posted it. And sure enough, I bought it. Now, let me tell you how delightful of a read this was. Um, trying to find a accurate depiction of them real quick in here. So
Christmas list. Any of you people out there, Todd Turner, Christmas list. Put it on it. Give it to
so
me.
like here's the realistic depictions of them
Oh, I
too.
see that. Yeah. Really good. That's cool.
So here's how good this was. I read this in one sitting today.
Holy cow, because it's got some words.
Yeah, it's girthy.
Hmm.
It's 200 pages and some change. I read this whole thing. I opened it up the minute it got to my house from Amazon and read the whole thing.
All
Um,
right.
but this was a freaking delight. But Paul from Sketchy Sermons
Way to go.
posted it, and all he mentioned, and I was like, "What is that?" And he said it's about the friendship between Lewis and Tolkien. I'm like you said, sold. Um, dude, I teared up. I smiled. Uh, I just watched the C.S. Lewis play Further Up and Further In a few months back, where it told about his motorcycle ride. They don't shy away from his conversion, deep conversion to God. I learned stuff about both of them I never knew before.
That's awesome. Well,
Um,
that's
so
what comics are for. We're here
in
to
terms
teach you
of
lessons.
surprising graphic novels, this reminded me of that one that you told me to read or sent to me,
The basketball
the
one.
basketball
Hoop,
one.
hoop, hoop, dragon hoops. Dragon
Yeah,
hoops.
Dragon Hoops. This
Yeah.
has Dragon Hoop vibes.
Oh, cool. Awesome. All right.
If we weren't doing this podcast, I would have just mailed you one. But but
Crap.
I got this and I read it today, and I was like, I hope this comes in time and I hope I can read it. And
Oh man, that's awesome.
so here's how much I wanted to read this. The new Legend of Zelda game came out today,
Oh,
and I
and you
read this
didn't do it.
instead.
Instead,
So
hey, you got
here
to
we
have
go.
priorities, brother.
Myth Makers by
Myth makers.
John
Yeah,
Hendricks.
that makes the rest of my books look like a turd.
By the New York Times bestselling award-winning creator of The Faithful Spy.
Oh, never heard of it.
Probably a Bonhoeffer book.
Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Yeah.
Okay,
I,
awesome.
I mean, he's got a movie coming out in
I know
December
it
too.
looks good.
It does look good. Hold on, let me see what The Faithful Spy is. But yeah, what's your pull?
Well, this has nothing to do with Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 58.
Oh, dude, it is a Bonhoeffer book.
Really?
The Faithful
About
Spy.
about him?
Yeah.
That is cool.
And It yeah, it's a graphic novel too.
What? How are we missing these? Now we're never going to miss them again.
Nope. Because guess what? I'm
I'm
gonna
going to
buy
hop on
this
my
too.
Goodreads and just flip peg this guy, John
I'm,
Hendricks,
oh yeah, because it's
Jimmy's
got.
brother.
I'm looking at the Hitler depictions and everything. Sadly, and but yeah,
Ooh, ugh, okay then.
the Faithful Spy is a Dietrich Bonhoeffer graphic novel by the same dude.
Oh, I might have to get that too. This is
Okay.
like I'm gonna these. My kids always go, "What can we get, Dad?" There
This is
you
what you
go.
can get, Dad,
The
guys.
problem is Dad will buy it before Christmas. So
Tell
anyway,
me about Spider-Man.
Amazing Spider-Man 58. They are billing Amazing Spider-Man the next 3 issues as being the most violent Spider-Man that they can put and it not have like guts hanging out, like not going to be a red band. So this is John Romita art doing most of the heavy lifting. It is awesome. Tombstone is wanting to take over all the crime that Kingpin left behind, and his daughter Janice, who's the Beetle, I think is that what she is turned state's evidence against him, and he's basically going to kill his own daughter. And Spider-Man has to jump in, and it is a battle. It is fight scenes for the entire thing, and with Peter, the Spider-Man, getting just the snot beat. I mean, Tombstone is like ruthless in this, um, like trying to kill his own daughter. Um, at the end, at the end of the book, in the last page, Tombstone grabs him and they're heading out a window in a like a skyscraper or what else. And it's funny because he says, "You want to get crazy?" Sounds like, and then
Yeah,
it shows the cover of the next issue, and on the cover it's them crashing through the window, and it's him saying, "Let's get crazy." I mean, it's like, I guess they can't say, "Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." You
right.
know, I don't know if Peter says I'm Batman or anything in it, but anyway, that it's really good. They're really psyching this up. I think we got 2 more issues for this creative team to be done, and Spider-Man is hitting it on all cylinders right now, which is good because for a while it was
Yeah, I mean
slogging.
it had its lulls.
Yeah, yeah. What else you got?
The final book in Ain't No Grave. Um,
Yes,
Scotty Young. Did you read it?
I did. Yes.
Yeah. Uh, Anticlimactic, but at the same point, like I think that's what you're supposed to expect. Um, you didn't think it would be that easy, did you?
I know. Yes, exactly. Man.
And I think that's one of the things is like we always expect more than what we can get in stories like this. We expect something like groundbreaking. It's like, no, you're stupid. You just tried to fight death. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
But she does get a glimpse.
she
I
gets
love that.
glimpses,
She
and
gets glimpse of the future.
that's more than she would have gotten. She
Right.
could have had more time where she was, or she could have got a glimpse. But
Exactly.
and you know, I feel like she was missing on purpose.
For those of you who don't know, she's fighting death, and death says, if you can hit me, you win, basically, right?
You'll get a little more time.
You get a little more time. And she
For every
unloads her
time you hit
gun.
me, you'll get a little more time. But
Yeah,
if you when you miss, you're gonna get a glimpse of what you're missing.
that's what it was. Yeah. So she unloads her 6 shooters and misses every time.
Yeah, it
And
looks like,
so,
and that's what because of where she was shooting and everything. I was
mhm.
like, is she missing on purpose just so she can see her future?
Wow, I hadn't thought that, Hector. What would you do?
A little more time.
What if God did that, said, Hector, you can have a little more time, or I can show you the future. That would be tough because what if the future you see is not a good future?
Yeah, but the current circumstances, she's dying of sickness, right?
Right. Yes.
So do you
Hmm.
want a little more time with cancer? Do you want a little more time with a
Yes.
terminal illness?
Right.
Or do you want to get to see 2 generations down?
Okay. I got it. Yeah.
It's a tough
Hmm.
call.
It is a tough call.
But I think
It's a curtain we don't have to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all went into this expecting to see,
She's going to beat death.
she's gonna beat the devil, and then like, sorry, uh, you paid the devil your due. You did not get the
Yeah.
golden fiddle.
You can't know. No, that's right. Yeah. Sorry. Don't go down to Georgia.
But you know what's still great? This book
What?
that's sitting right here is The Me You Love in the Dark. Just saying.
Which I've never read.
I don't know it's your jam, but you might enjoy it.
I'm going to.
It is a
Yeah.
Scotty Young book, and it is a
Yeah.
weird, creepy, awkward romance between an artist
A ghost.
and a ghost.
Yeah. I probably would like it. I'll have to watch it. Read it. Yeah. All right. Well, my next book is I'm going to do this for CJ and everybody else out there who likes the Ghost Machine books. It's Geiger, issue 6. So I love the Ghost Machine stuff. It's been really cool. We're going to start to get our crossovers happening at the end of the year, I believe. But this is the guy who is post-apocalyptic, and he's radiation. He's all radiated and glow. They call him the glowing man. He keeps 2 cobalt rods on his back to keep his radiation down. But he travels this wasteland with this 2-headed wolf or dog. I don't know. And in the last issue or 2, the wolf was captured and tortured, basically, almost thought killed. But the wolf has been saved now, and everything's good. But the wolf basically has PTSD, so won't eat, do anything, and the wolf takes off. So this is the wolf's journey in this issue. The wolf takes off and discovers a zoo. Basically, like in the Last of Us show when they find that zoo and all these animals are walking around or whatever. I don't know if you remember that. You see the giraffes or whatever. So anyway, there are these animals, but these animals are mutated as well. So there is a gorilla there with 4 arms. And when this wolf walks into this zoo, like where these animals are, there are poachers in there, not poachers, but hunters. And they're getting animals for food or to take back to whatever people will pay them for it. And the gorilla grabs the wolf and he speaks sign language. And he basically tells the wolf, be quiet. We have to be quiet or this will happen. They'll get us, they'll kill us or whatever. And the wolf just has so much and attacks the men. And when the wolf does, the whole entire zoo follows suit. And there you know what happens. So the wolf then, I guess, gets his mojo back. He goes back to his people, and the people his people that he's traveling with, they start going by, and then like you fast forward into the future a few years, and there's a thing, someone else passing by the zoo, and they're like, "Don't go by that zoo." The 4-armed gorilla is brutal. So no one now dares enter it anymore, because these animals have stood up for themselves, I guess. But it was a good read. I was surprised that I would have that much empathy for a group of animals. But yeah, the gorilla's awesome. Don't mess with mutant gorillas. That's what we learned in that.
Yeah. Speaking of, you got more on that one? Or are you good?
No, that's it. I'm good.
On that note, speaking of zoos going awry, Gotham City Sirens #4.
Awesome.
Which was another banger of a book, and I know I mentioned this in my last pull set. Not only was this the best punchline story I've read, did you get to read this one?
I did.
Okay. We got a nice Harley versus Punchline fight, and she's like, "I know who you are."
Yes.
But this was honestly a really good story for the rabbit character.
Yes, which I wasn't familiar with that character.
Me either. So the White Rabbit character that's in this was pretty fantastic.
And she has like a doppelganger. She becomes 2 people, or
yeah. I think it's almost like a reverse Firestorm situation.
There you go.
Where like one lady splits into 2 rabbit personalities.
Right.
But either way, the dynamic was good. I would watch a TV show of that.
Absolutely.
This was fun. This was good writing. This might be one of Josh Williams's funnest books. Nice little tight 4-issue story. I'm down for it. So not I literally is like, if you like Catwoman, Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, or Punchline, or you just like good storytelling,
that's a great book.
This is a great book. When it's in a graphic novel with 4 issues,
yes,
it'll be worth your money. Pick it
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great. And I was surprised because I was like, I mean, it's going to come out every week. It's 4 issues. I picked up the first one and I was like, oh yeah, I got to have the rest of them.
I was just grateful I didn't rebuy all of them because I almost did. So
I know you told me that last time. All right. Well, my next book is World's Finest, issue 31. Mark Waid doing his Mark Wadiest. I like this book because it's got an old school feel. So basically, he's telling stories.
Did I tell you I caught up on the first 2 volumes?
No, I didn't. No, you didn't.
When I flew to North Dakota, I read the first.
Oh, you also read something that I was like, that was a terrible read. I can't remember what it was.
Danger Street.
Oh yeah, gosh, that's just so confusing. Anywho,
I read the first 2. I bought the first 2 graphic novels of World's Finest and read them on the plane before I read Danger Street.
Okay, well then, I mean, that probably made you go, "Wow, that World's Finest was great compared to this." It didn't make sense.
Yes, it was.
Well, so for those who don't know, basically Mark Waid is doing stories that have happened for Batman and Superman a while ago, not up to date, but these are stories that happened in their past. So this story starts out with a full Justice League. We're talking Elongated Man, like Green Arrow. I can't remember all who were in there, but there were like 4 or 5 characters from the Justice League, in addition to Batman and Superman. And the Green Arrow's there, Black Canary, Flash. And what happens is Eclipso takes over the members of the Justice League on the Justice League satellite. And Superman and Batman are battling those members and trying to break their hold on them, but they can't do it. The Red Tornado escapes to get help and ends up at the steps of the JSA. So this ends with the JSA sitting around a table. So we're going to get in the next issue probably a great Justice Society story in addition to a JLA JSA team up written by Mark Waid with focus on them battling Eclipso. And I've been reading the JSA book that's been out, and it's just so dang on long and taking forever to come out. I'm ready for a good JSA story. I know Jeff Lemire is going to be writing it, I think, coming up.
Yeah.
But this book has always been good for me, and I love the old school vibe. Anyway, that's it.
Okay.
What else you got, brother?
Zatanna Brings Down the House, book 4.
Okay. So I've heard this is fantastic.
This one was a banger.
Is the house still standing, or did she bring it down?
The house is in shambles. I can't vouch for its structural integrity.
It sounds like my house when all my kids come home for a visit.
But the house is definitely in some disrepair.
Has she started to use magic yet?
Yes.
All right. Give it to me, Hector.
So, and you get something in this that if it's a regular thing, I'm not familiar with it. So a lot of this premise ends up with the fact that at the last issue, John Constantine shows up to rescue her.
Okay.
In this, John Constantine's like, "Hey, you're magic. Stop being stupid." And effectively, Zatanna just is like, "All right, I've got it. Let's go. Let's be a gangster." And she starts using her magic. Then John Constantine portals them away to Paris, and they have a nice romantic weekend together.
That went into 5th gear really fast.
Yeah, apparently they were dating already.
Well, yes, they are an item in and out of DC continuity currently.
Yeah, and
Even says in the the Superman book about about her relationship with she alludes to the relationship with John Constantine in that book. Even.
Right. And which was, I read that after this. So I was like, oh, this is a thing. But this issue, I'd say 30% of it is just them covered by bed sheets.
Oh, well, all right then.
Having conversations.
Because that's what one does covered in bed sheets.
Yes.
Let's have a talk.
But literally
what is
it's
the
just
thread count on these sheets?
Yeah, it's that type of stuff. And then it boils
What kind
down
of fabric
to
softener?
they say that her dad is the most fearsome demon in the world, and basically she's got to go take down her dad now.
What? No, I've not heard that. That's some serious daddy issues. That's new.
Yeah. And so
But it's Black Label, right?
Yes, it is Black Label.
There you go.
Now, I will say this, to be Black Label, it's pretty tame.
Okay.
The most Black Label thing about this is the fact he's smoking. So,
oh man, I had 3 books I wanted us to talk about. Maybe we can do that briefly at the end. And one of them is a Black Label book about something in it. But anyway. All right. Well, my next book is Wonder Woman issue 13. So I started collecting Wonder Woman because I thought Tom King was going to do this amazing story about this old grumpy white dude trying to take over the world. And
he is going to do that.
But then Absolute Power took over and it's completely different now. But I loved this. Literally loved it. Have you read it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there are 2 stories in this. There is a Wonder Woman story and then a Trinity story at the back.
Yes.
And so this is Wonder Woman having to break out all of the superheroes and villains that are in their prisons on Gamora Island, and she does it with Damian Wayne. And so Steve Trevor gets out. They have a brief kiss, and then they go. Not Damian and Steve, but Wonder Woman and Steve. And then they rescue everyone, and it's really funny because Damian's like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me! Get a hotel room, blah blah blah." And at the end of the next story is Damian Wayne all grown up. Him and John Kent are grown up, and they have Trinity, who's still young, which is Wonder Woman's daughter. And he tells the exact same story from his point of view, how he and her mother rescued all these people. But it's like every other panel, Wonder Woman is making out with Steve Trevor in his story. It's like, that's not how it happened at all. But I thought it was so fun. I really enjoyed it. I liked Damian Wayne in this book. I thought he was written so well by Tom King. So I just thought it was a fun read in the midst of all this Absolute Power craziness.
Now,
so
and I will say that one of the best things in this is the fact that she was trying to act bulletproof when she wasn't.
Yes.
And he's like, baby, you can't stop bullets with just your forearms.
Yes, and she's like, I probably broke all my arms. But she did stop them, right?
Yeah.
But you could tell she's in pain. It's a great book. Good read.
It was great.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. All right, Hector. One more before the number ones.
Didn't we already do that?
No, I ain't done my number 1 yet.
I've done 4 books already, dude.
Wait. 1, 2, 3. Oh, maybe I did more than you.
Yeah, I've already done 4 books.
I did 5. Sorry. I just took an extra one. Bonus. All right. What's your number 1?
Well, my number 1 was The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween.
I know. Just call it The Last Halloween.
You know what? I get that, and they probably should. I'll say this. This felt more authentic than the last Long Halloween thing they did.
I got a different version.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, or a different.
Let me see cover. It again.
Different cover. I didn't know what the original cover was. Your cover, that is a Tim Sale. That is Tim Sale. He
Yes,
drew
it
that.
is. Yes.
And this is the guy who drew the book.
Yeah.
This is the guy who drew the book. Who, by the way, phenomenal.
Yeah.
He is full on channeling Tim Sale.
It's close enough that you can say this belongs in the same world, but unique enough.
Exactly. Yeah. So give us the lowdown, Hector, because this book is not a book I'm going to collect.
Yeah.
Because I have an issue with, I just can't handle stories that involve certain types of crime.
Noted.
So anyway, go ahead. Tell everybody what goes on.
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation before. Well, and two, I thought it was a unique twist because if they tie that into the future of the DC world.
Yeah, because his son's messed up anyway.
Yeah. So this takes place, correct me if I'm wrong, a year after the Long Halloween.
Oh, he's got Robin with him now.
Yeah. This is a year after the Long Halloween and Dark Victory and all that jazz. And Barbara is still with Jim. They have a young son, and their marriage is obviously on the rocks and everything. And James wanted to be Batman for Halloween, and James is kidnapped or goes missing on Halloween. And then you are just thrown back into the world of the Long Halloween. This honestly feels like it picks up.
It's a gorgeous book, by the way.
It's gorgeous. It feels organic.
I like Robin's basically his dialogue is really good. The dents in it again.
Yeah.
They are there. I loved The Long Halloween. It's great. And the adapted animation is great as well.
I haven't watched that one yet.
It's very good. Very good. I have The Long Halloween in black. I have the black and white version.
Me too.
And got it at Ollie's. Dirt cheap. Good stuff. Dirt cheap. But yeah, so that the kidnapping of children is just it messes with me somehow. I don't know why, but I'm like,
probably because you're not a monster.
Yeah. And you are? What the heck does that mean?
We already covered conscience is seared and stuff, man.
Okay.
I deal with people's dirt every day. So
all right. Well, my number one is Avengers Assemble. It's a mini series, like a 5-issue. The Long Halloween, last Halloween is going to be 10 issues.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on my polls. I do want to finish that.
All right. Well, you have to tell me how it goes. This book feels just like an old Avengers story. It is so fun. It starts out with Cap having a team going and fighting Red Skull's daughter. And in the meantime, Jarvis is at Avengers Mansion and the rest of the Avengers are coming. Hawkeye has go ahead.
Just remind me after this to bring something up. Go ahead.
All right. And Hawkeye is playing poker, and they've got the people around the table playing poker as they come in. You get some new blood. You get Julie Powers from the Power Pack is some new blood. Night Thrasher is on the team, which is so fun. It's like when he comes in, he brings a box full of leather jackets. So the old Avenger jackets make a reoccurrence. And it just feels like an old school Avengers book, like a 80s, 70s, 80s Avengers story that could be really fun with a big, huge group back on Avengers Mansion. And I'm for it. It's just 5 issues. Steve Orlando is writing it, and the art's decent, but it's my kind of jam. What did you want to bring up before I want to talk about these 3 books real quick?
You said something that triggered a news I forgot to have notes for.
What is it?
This week, we got our first MCU.
Oh, yes.
Canon speaking of Mephisto.
Where?
Mephisto is mentioned by name in Agatha.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. But he didn't speak.
No. But
okay.
That's the first time that word's been used.
In the MCU.
In the MCU.
Okay, all right. Okay, then.
It
I
was
watched them.
Mephisto.
They're okay. And the Thunderbolts
The Thunderbolts
trailer.
trailer was great. You with me? If you're there's Todd.
There, I'm back. Yes. Did you catch? I didn't know. I didn't go and read up anything about the trailer or anything like that. I just watched the trailer, and Bob shows up. You knew who Bob is,
Yeah.
dude. The Sentry.
Well,
I don't know.
Do you know who was cast as Bob before that guy?
Do I know who the character is or the actor?
The actor who was Bob before this dude was playing Bob.
Oh, I didn't. Wait, now there's a different Bob, right? There's the Bob on. We talking about the guy on Deadpool?
No, 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 no. I'm talking about the one
Okay.
you're talking about.
Well, I didn't know there is. What did they switch out actors?
Yes.
Did not know that. No, no clue.
The actor that was originally cast as Bob was Stephen Yeun.
I don't know who that is.
He is the guy who played Glenn on The Walking Dead, and he's
Okay, yeah. So this is Lewis Pullman.
Yes.
So what was the issue with that?
Scheduling.
Okay.
But because he's Invincible, the
He's
voice
like,
actor for Invincible.
Oh, okay.
But he's also there. He had some scheduling conflict, but he was originally cast as.
I'm actually intrigued now. I was not, but I am now. And it wouldn't surprise me if they don't end up being called the the Dark Avengers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that what they were?
Yeah.
This is what this sounds like to me. It was funny. My daughter Hannah was like, "What is this? So what is this? Marvel's Suicide Squad?" And I was like, "Okay, maybe
Yes.
they are." All right. I had 3 books I wanted to hit on before we leave. If we got time.
It's our podcast.
All right, man. So
if not, our great editorial team is going to make this magically disappear.
He'll cut it out and they'll just go with it. Then they'll edit it. So are you reading the Jenny Sparks book?
No, I didn't know who that was.
Okay, so Jenny Sparks was the head of the Authority. She's considered a century baby, and she died at the end of end of 1999. So Tom King is writing her new story, and it's a Black Label book. We're on issue 2 now.
Okay, I've seen it. It looked interesting.
It's a little weird. It's basically a deconstruction of Captain Atom, is what I think it's going to end up being. You know how he always likes to take some characters and mess around with characters that aren't the A-list characters. But anyway, that's not the reason. Issue 2, for 2 reasons. First of all, you come to find out that the reason she's back is because the world reawoke her after 9/11, which I thought was a little bit cheesy. I don't much care for that. That's not what got me. She goes to say that she and Superman had a intimate physical relationship. Superman and Jenny Sparks. What do you think about that? Superman and Jenny Sparks. Do you really care?
Of age?
Does it matter? Yes, she is of age. Well, heck yeah, she's a century baby. She's been around. She was born in 1900. So she's 100 years old. Yes, she's of age.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily, because I don't have any identification with the character. Like, right. I don't know.
Well, it's not that. It's just the Superman. I think it just felt weird that, like, really? Superman? I mean, I get it, but I didn't know what made Tom King think, let's put that in the book. Why is that in the book? I don't know.
I don't know. Probably play something in there.
Making more of it than I should.
You might be, but at the same time, who knows? And also depending like on which world she came from, and when this was for Superman. But also, do you know, well, you know about Tom King's past, right? Like real world past?
No.
Okay. Why this might make you a little more receptive to the 9/11 thing. Tom King was a CIA agent.
Really?
Yes. And he dealt with 9/11 and terrorist attack stuffs.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's what brought her back. That's what jarred her back into, that's what the world did that brought her back, because she was supposed to be just the the Sentry babies were basically in the Wildstorm universe were considered characters that were born at the turn of the century, and their job was to protect that century. So her job was to protect the 1900s up until the year 2000. And so, yeah. Okay, well, I get it. Makes sense.
That's the thing, because he's associated with that world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he probably takes a little closer to the chest. So I would take that from Tom King more than I would take that from somebody else.
All right, good deal. Book number 2. I'm just getting all the controversy here. Uncanny X-Men number 3. So they bring in Nightcrawler, and one of the characters that grabs him calls him a furry, and his response is, "Oh, you think that as a negative? I love the furry community. They throw awesome parties." And that's pretty much it. I don't know if I'm saying it exactly. And that has gotten a lot of people all up in arms, because the Catholic character in the furry community, their parties are magnificent, exactly what I said. So, should we think anything of that, Hector? Or am I just,
dude? No.
Yeah.
What?
It just felt weird. I mean, I don't know. It just felt weird. I don't know. Why would he even say that? I don't know. Why would you have a character say that, call him that in the first place, and then come back and say,
because she lives at Comic-Con.
Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. I'm just touching on all the touchy stuff. Last touchy thing.
But fantastic. I was like, I thought that maybe that's not the most like in character joke, but I didn't take anything negative from it.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird. I don't know. But anyway, Fantastic Four 25.
Yeah, this guy. We almost talked about this last week.
I know, last time we did. Yeah, because this book's now 3 weeks old. 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old, or whatever.
3 weeks old, yeah.
Johnny Storm and his relationship with the alien that's entirely not humanoid. It reminds me of Galaxy Drax Quest. Hollering at you who is laying with an Oscarian.
Yes. Fair. It reminded me of Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yes. Galaxy Quest, which, by the way, is getting a 4K DVD release, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm for it. So, Johnny Storm is Marvel's Captain Kirk. That's all I got to say about that. What'd you think about that? Did you think it was absolutely silly? Has it jumped the shark? I think for many people.
Okay, you can't jump the shark when Fantastic Four literally makes business of jumping sharks.
It's true. They jump the shark every day. That is what they do.
There is not a single normal book that's been part of their storyline in these last 28 issues or whatever.
You're right. It's been all over the place.
It's been all over the place, and I don't think that's any out of character or out of pocket stuff, considering what they've been doing all the rest of the time.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, Johnny Storm just doing Johnny Storm.
Yep.
It was weird.
It was weird, and I was like, man, I'm kind of sad I'm wasting my money on this.
I know.
It also wasn't the worst story.
No, the story was good. I like the story, and it puts the whole entire thing in perspective of Doom, because what happens is they end up on an alternate Earth, basically, because they try to get into Latveria. Doom has put up a magical dome over it, and Reed even says that he hasn't mastered his Sorcerer Supreme, and he's sending these things away that attack, doesn't even know where he's sending them, and they have to figure out a way to get back and fix everything. So I mean, that lays down some foundation also for One World Under Doom as well. But yeah, people were talking about it on the Discord and Love Thy Nerd, and I thought, well, let's just talk about it, see what we have to say.
We'll float that biscuit, but like, man, these people do have to come up with a reason for us to pay $5 for 30 or for 26 pages of content. So
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Oh
gotta
well.
you gotta throw out some shenanigans every now and again.
I'm ready. I hate to admit it, as the resident Fantastic Four fan, I'm down now to just 13 books. That's all I need. 13 books. Um, I'm ready for a new direction. I'm ready for Johnny Storm to lose the mustache. That's just terrible.
Now, but I will say this. This has been, even on the months I or the weeks I don't enjoy it, it's still been the most consistently good Fantastic Four book in my adult reading.
Well, good. I'm glad you like it. It's a silly book many times,
Yes.
not serious like Jonathan Hickman's run. Um, so that's been
But
fun. I
I've
do
not
like.
read this many issues of Fantastic Four in ever.
I think you're just doing it out of friendship for me because you know
Uh,
how much I
there
love the
is a
Fantastic
partial
Four
to that. I picked up the first issue out of
because of me.
now I'll have something to talk about with Todd.
Yeah, and now you're like, it's on the bag and board
Yep.
side. All right, that's all I got. You got anything else, Hector?
No, I mean that's kind of it. We're at a threshold of I just want absolute power to be over.
I
I'm
love Absolute Power. Honestly, I think it's a great story.
I want it to be over because I can't get any of the main issues.
You can't what now?
I can't get the main
Oh,
issues.
you waited too long, so now you got to wait till it comes out on trade to read what actually happened.
I've not seen a single copy because they're not buying any extras
Oh, really?
at my shop.
Hmm. I collected the Absolute Power. It's 1 through 4 plus a prequel. I got all of those, and they've been also doing called the Task Force 7, which follows each one of the different Amazos. I got
Yeah.
those, and then I've picked up the regular tie-ins, and yeah, you really need those.
Yeah.
And the Super Sun one, the was supposed to be really good. I didn't read it. I would like to get it, but oh well.
Yep.
All right.
That's about it.
Yep, we're ready. It'll be DC All In. That's what's coming up in a
That
month.
is what's coming up. I'm pretty pumped. Pretty pumped. Well,
We're gonna get an absolute metamorpho too, and I
I'm
think it's going to be written by Al Ewing, maybe.
I I don't know if it's up your alley, but the actor who's playing Metamorpho in James Gunn's world
Uh huh.
is delightful.
Well, I
Um,
think one of the first comic books that I ever collected, starting at issue 1, was Batman and the Outsiders when it came out, and Metamorpho was part of it. I love the cover where Batman's up there in the Justice League satellite telling him, "I've had it with you all," and I fell in love with that character. Metamorpho is a great character.
well, did you ever see the TV series Barry?
No.
Okay. On Max, there is a show called Barry where I forgot his name at the moment. Brain fart. He's a comedian, SNL person, um, who is an assassin who falls in love with acting.
Okay.
And he
Sounds
wants to
fun.
quit being an assassin
And be an actor.
and be an actor. So he enrolls in community theater taught by Henry Winkler.
Oh, that's definitely a watch. That's fun.
I mean, it's
I have heard
golden.
of that. I have heard of it.
Um, but either way, the guy playing Metamorpho plays a breakout character that is the fabulous leader of the Chechen mob.
The Chechen mob. Nice.
And yeah, it's a whole weird, funky storyline, bro. But like he also was in Gotham, like the TV series Gotham for half a second. I think he was Zaz, maybe.
Okay.
Um, but yeah. So he's double dipping in the DC world already.
All right. We got to love
Well,
the double dipping.
so folks, thank you for taking time to join us and letting us be your semi-weekly, monthly, every now and again source for comic book industry news and storylines. Thanks for commenting in the Discord and on the Facebook community as well. We appreciate you keeping us on track because we do miss some things. Congratulations to Chris Poirier, who uh,
RoboCop.
he completed all of his Popo training, and
I'd buy that for $1.
he is now an officer of the law. Yeah. And we wish him the best with that and hope to hear from him soon. Because Todd's got, adult life to do.
Hilarious.
He was trying to swallow chicken strips as we were getting started because we were cramming a schedule full.
Good chicken. Love chicken.
Yeah, it's good chicken. But thank you for taking time to listen and joining us on this journey of being part of all the podcasts from the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network. Remember, you can check them out more on the Love Thy Nerd Podcast channel. You can find us on YouTube, specifically at youtube.com/at the pull list LTN. All the addresses. You can also find us on the Glue Network on your Roku channels, GLU, with some other nerdy and faith-based entertainment and stories. And we'll be back in a couple weeks with some more comics. So remember, kids,
read more comics.
Hello, people that are watching this before we actually start. Hi.
Oh, yeah, because it's on the YouTuber.
It is. And
Wowzer.
The Glue TV.
Glue TV, which I have yet to look up.
Don't tell them that.
I know.
They'll come unglued.
Oh my gosh. My head gets so big in this thing because I'm so right up in the business.
Oh, yeah, I'm faced this way. Yeah. All up in the business.
I am all up in the business.
All right,
I'm using my headphones that I got for our 10-hour flight home.
Or the
on
airplane
the airplane.
Headphones?
Yeah.
International audio.
International audio.
There you go. Start your own production company with that.
Be IA instead of AI.
Yeah. There you go. Also not to be confused with Allen Iverson. All right.
Yeah.
There's one commercial, I forgot what it was, and it's like, I use this with the help of AI, and then it just shows Allen Iverson like smiling.
I love that. That's great.
All right. Here we go. And 3, trace.
Better put the word out. Get ready for the nerd out. Better put specs on. Better break necks on. I cut handsome checks for my expansion sets. They call me Obi-Wan. Act like you know me, son.
Greetings, value pull listeners, and welcome to episode 105 of the Pull List Podcast, a bi-weekly show about comics, pop culture, and faith. My name is Hector Miray, a geeky pastor and author of the Faith and Fandom book series, and with me today, through his magnanimous generosity, is Todd Turner. Magnanimous. So,
I like that word.
Hold on, let me finish the intro, and now I'm going to go back to that word. Through his magnanimous generosity, we have Todd Turner, creator and head crafter of Mosaic fan art.
Woohoo! Awesome.
So, the first time I heard the word magnanimous, and probably the only time I heard it for years, was in the Shawshank Redemption.
It's in my top 10 movies of all time.
And they were talking about when they tarred the roof of the print shop, and the guard was letting them have beer. And
Clancy.
Clancy. Yeah, it's the same guard that's Mr. Krabs.
Squidward.
Yeah. That dude was hardcore in that movie though. He's like, and you hear Morgan Freeman say the colossal P word, he even managed to sound magnanimous. and
yes.
So I didn't know what it meant, and I just loved that line. And
it's a great one.
And so I remember getting in a fight with somebody in like 2000.
Did you call him magnanimous?
And I straight called him magnanimous. I was like, listen here, you magnanimous douchebag. And I'm like, I had no idea it meant generous.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me so confused.
He's like, you're right.
And
I
I was,
am. Thank you.
and I was like, oh yeah, I look back on that moment and be like, oh no,
Oh gosh.
that was terrible. Um, that's outside of my awkward stories of poor vocabulary. Let's talk about comics because that's what we're here for. Sorry for the break, y'all. Life be lifing, and Todd is internationally famous, and he had to be abroad, and on the adventures of Jesus's. So
I know. Just got
where
back from Italy, Greece, and Turkey.
and you visited some biblical sites and such, right?
I did. Walked the roads of Ephesus, which was the coolest part. I enjoyed that the most. Did go to the Vatican, pretty cool, and found that there was a comic book shop literally about 4 blocks away. So
Nice.
had to hit that up. But yeah, it was very humbling and a great experience to be able to go to some of these places that we read about in our Bibles.
That is neat.
Mm-hmm. Neo.
Sweet. Well, we're going to be talking about our favorite pulls of the past effectively month, somewhere in there. And we're also going to be talking about some comic book news and things that are coming up. And so Todd, you got any information for us? Any cool stuff we should know?
Well, I got some sad stuff first.
Oh
I mean,
no.
of course, we all know that we lost James Earl Jones,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
the one everybody paid attention to.
right. But I am
Yeah, I was actually thinking about you.
uh but John Cassidy, if some people don't know who that is, he's an artist and he died at 52, and he is the artist creator of my favorite comic book run, complete comic book run of all time, Planetary, which I've given everybody an omnibus. You don't got one? Ask me, I'll give you one, because I love it so much. Um, an amazing artist. I think one of his pages that he did for Astonishing X-Men with Josh Whedon is probably one of my favorite pages of all time. And it was the when Kitty Pryde realizes that Colossus is still alive, and he goes running, and like she's just staring at him and he runs through her while she's in phase, and the look on her face, there's no words in that entire page,
The whole panel, yeah.
and just the look on her eyes to see that he's still alive. uh, and that's probably one of my favorite X-Men runs.
That
If
is my
anybody
favorite X-Men run.
Yeah, if people go, hey, what should I read? I want to learn more about X-Men, I always push them to Astonishing X-Men.
The Astonishing X-Men Omnibus, all Joss Whedon negativity aside these days, it's still the best collected X-Men storyline.
I think so. I think it's
Um,
great. And you get Cassandra Nova, right? Is
which,
she in it?
yeah, she's one of the primary villains.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Because
So her
it goes from Danger to Cassandra Nova to the that
yeah,
alien
that alien
race.
dude. Yeah, the
Yeah.
alien dude. So yeah, that was a little bit of a 52. That's just, man, I'm older than that. So as the ancient love thy nerd person that I am, the grandpa of the group, I'm like, oh man. Ugh. So that was a
It
little bit.
yeah, that's a shocker, but it's also like, you know, not that it is a great loss for us all for James Earl Jones, but it's kind of sadder when you're a lesser known celebrity and you die on the same day as a major celebrity,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like
And
nobody no
no,
Brad
no,
Meltzer posted something, and I think he's the only person I saw post something.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and James Earl Jones was 93. So, I mean, it's still
It's
sad. But this dude's 52, man. That's heartbreak.
And I'm not sure if you're aware, you probably are because you're a man of the world and knowledge. Um, maybe
Magnanimously.
magnanimously.
International magnanimous.
Um, that's the episode title. It's the magnanimous edition. Um, but James Earl Jones, maybe 3 to 4 years ago, signed over complete rights for Disney to recreate his voice
Really?
as Vader indefinitely and forever.
Well, here's an interesting side note that I didn't even have this down on my list of news. but the dude who was Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yes. That's
So
it. That's in my news for my thing tomorrow.
Oh, for tomorrow. Yeah. So Disney
Peter
is
Cushing.
is getting sued. The apparently like one of Peter Cushing's best friends owns a business, and he signed something that said no one can use his voice ever or his likeness without their approval.
Without his
And
friend's approval, yeah.
And Disney, well, we got Rogue One, which by the way is a fantastic movie. And
better get
and
your physical copy before they replace him with somebody else.
I know, because Disney's been kicking this can down the road, and finally a judge in England said, nope, this is going to court. There's enough here to go to court on. So, but that wasn't even part of my news, but I was like, oh yeah,
that is the thing. And
it is a thing.
And if for those of you who don't know, he was also the Doctor and well, no, he wasn't the Doctor. He was Doctor Who.
Peter Cushing's?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't realize that.
So in the 60s, they wanted to have Daleks were so popular, they needed a vehicle to be able to create Dalek content, but without interrupting the Doctor Who storyline.
Okay.
So they started creating TV movies of Doctor Who that had nothing to do with the run of the TV series.
Oh, they were pretty much Black Label or Elseworlds.
Yeah. And so what they did with it is that Peter Cushing was Doctor Who. He wasn't a Time Lord. He wasn't from Gallifrey. He was not a regenerating two-hearted dude.
Gosh, completely different.
He was a dude who called himself Doctor Who, which is not something the Doctor does, because he's the Doctor, not Doctor Who.
Gotcha.
And he built his own TARDIS.
Oh, all right then.
And
built his own TARDIS.
He built his own TARDIS.
I built a TARDIS.
You did?
No, in real life.
Yeah.
It didn't really function well, but I did build one. Anyway.
But so he had his own series of B movies where they would just get the Dalek actors to run around with Peter Cushing. And here's the deal why I'm a stickler for nerd specifics.
Mm-hmm.
Spelled out, Doctor Who is the Time Lord. Dr. Who is Peter Cushing.
All right. There you go.
So if you abbreviate
Der Who.
Yeah. Now, but the thing is, though, originally the show was Doctor Who with Dr. Who at some points. They would abbreviate it, but once they brought in that character, they're like, hold on, we have to have a distinction.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, he had his own TARDIS adventures with Daleks, and it was pretty crazy.
Hector's Doctor Who-ness.
Yes.
A Doctor Who minute with Hector.
You know that meme of Drake going this and then pointing like that?
Yeah.
So I have that of with Doctor Who, Dr. Who, and him doing this, which is Peter Cushing. And then all 13 of the
other doctors are over there going
Doctor Who spelled out. And
nice.
That's my explanation for people. So
oh man.
So if you buy shirts at Walmart, Target, and things like that, one of the shirts that's very popular and very cheap is Doctor Who and the Daleks. And if you pay attention,
it's Dr. Period.
It's Dr. Period, which is why it's super cheap.
He's PhD.
Yeah, he is. That's exactly what it is.
It's PhD doctor.
Yeah.
Well, going back to older characters, Buck Rogers is now in public domain. And the first public domain comic book for Buck Rogers comes out in January. Well, actually, he goes public domain in January. And so it's by Array Comics. In January, they're going to put out a new Buck Rogers comic book. Not that I'm excited about that. But I think it's just one of the first big sci-fi characters that's entering public domain. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Flash Gordon came out the same time Buck Rogers did. So I'm sure that's going to hit public domain pretty soon as well.
Well, you can fight public domain, can't you?
Yeah.
Because Superman and Batman did.
But I think...
Is it 75 years, right?
No, I think Buck Rogers came out in 1929, so do the math. 25 is when it's coming out. So that's 95 years. I think it's 95.
Here's the stipulation.
Okay, I'm listening. Stipulate away.
Works created after 1978. Those works are usually protected for the life of the author plus 70 years.
Okay.
Anonymous or synonymous or works made for hire. These works are protected for 95 years from
Oh,
the year
see?
from the year of publication, or
So that's
120 years from creation, whichever comes first.
all right. So this is 95 years.
Yeah.
So that's what it would be. So yeah, so 95 years. So that's 1929.
So Batman and Superman are safe for another 15 years to another 40 years.
Whichever comes first, right? So, but here's the deal. It's sort of like the Mickey Mouse Steamboat Willie thing. You can only do Steamboat Willie, you can't do Mickey Mouse. So, but
Yeah.
Are you excited about the possibility of a public domain Buck Rogers?
No, I'm never gonna read that.
Me either. Me either. I mean,
Uh,
I would read a Flash Gordon book before I would read a Buck Rogers book.
I also agree, but I still wouldn't read one.
All right.
And
you know me. I would buy the first issue just to read it and then go, nah.
The closest thing I'm gonna come is Duck Dodgers.
Oh yeah, I'd read that.
I'd read Daffy Duck all day long over that. But yeah.
Have you heard about, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's the 50th anniversary of Stan Lee's The Origin of Marvel Comics. So they're reprinting that, and just in time, an author named Chaz Gower has written a book called Stan Lee Lied.
Of course.
It's basically your handy guide to every lie in the origin of Marvel Comics. And he just put it out. It's coming out this year as well. So, I mean, people pretty much realize, right, that not everything that Stan Lee did was he might have stretched some stuff, you know. I wonder how this book will be received, honestly.
As long as he doesn't end up on like Vince McMahon levels, we're good.
Which, by the way, they have a Netflix special coming out on Vince McMahon. I will watch it.
There's a podcast which I can't say the name of on this podcast.
Gotcha.
Be called Behind the Illegitimate Childs.
Gotcha.
And there is a long episode arc on Vince McMahon, with detailed in conversations and stuff on that. And a friend of mine was listening to it and texting me, "Oh my gosh, did you know this?" the whole time. So
so it's definitely going to be a watcher.
It's going to be a watcher. I mean, it's just it depends on how much do you actually enjoy the
behind the scenes stuff
or the debauchery of everything.
Yeah, that's true too.
And for
some of it though is sad. I watched this is completely off topic. Sorry, Matt, but I watched the Nature Boy documentary, and it's just sad.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he was wild and crazy and did stuff that no one should ever do. And all I could think of was his family suffered from it. I mean, his son died, OD'd, I think, or whatever. And so yeah. Anywho.
So, and this is one of these things, and I'm on record on this a million times, so this won't be the first time he's saying it. But I have two twin cousins that are in their 30s that our family stands firmly behind that they are fathered by. By the Woo. And because my aunt was a wrestling groupie in the 80s.
All right. Well, listen.
She was one of the ladies that traveled around and went backstage and
WCW. Was it in? Yeah, I think it was WCW.
It was
I can't remember.
Yeah, those days. Yeah. But it always messed me up because if I went to her house over the summer or something like that, she had a framed photo of her making out with Sergeant Slaughter.
Okay, this is
Off
pull
the
list
rails.
podcast has
Off
gone
the
off
rails.
the rails completely.
And so like it was just like one of those things. So when she told me the like who my cousin's dad was, I was like, okay, I believe it.
I believe it. All
I
right.
believe it. But that jacked up G.I. Joe for me forever.
Oh yeah, because of Sergeant Slaughter.
Because Sergeant Slaughter, I'd see him, and then even seeing him at cons, I'm just
Oh,
like, yeah, I've
and
seen you my whole life, Chief.
yeah, yeah, and knowing is half the battle.
And
So
that's the battle. The other half is going on with this podcast. So
yeah.
Todd,
Well, here, let me bring you back. One more piece of news.
okay,
So um, the hubbub is that DC is getting rid of their multiverse again. That we
surprise.
are going to be multiverseless after the end of this absolute power. DC's doing all in, and they're going to have 3 or 4 titles in the absolute universe, but all of the all of the other stuff will be either Elseworlds or Black Label, and not be, for a while anyway, no in and out of the multiverse.
Well, dude, outside of that one Superman book, nothing's really been in the multiverse for a while.
Isn't that crazy? Because like we had this whole entire thing with, what was it? Some type of crisis we had back in Dark Crisis, Infinite, whatever. And it was like, oh, we now have the multiverse. Multiverse can do anything and everything. And then they had a book called Multiversity.
Yeah.
And they had a little run in um Young Justice, where they hop back and forth through different multiverses. But other than that, like you said, well, Batman, Zur-En-Arrh, losing a hand.
Fair, but ew. Um, I get
Speaking of,
it.
did you see the absolute Batman cutting a dude's hand off?
Well, it's not out yet, but
No, but issue 1, there are pictures. Apparently, his bat symbol, his chest armor, comes off and becomes an axe.
as it should.
And he may not kill anyone, but they may bleed to death after he cuts their hand, like he chops a dude's hand off in one of the scenes.
Okay. Most of the people that Batman injures could bleed to death anyway.
Yeah, you're true.
On a logistical scale.
You're right.
But did you see the thing about I want to say it was Scott Snyder. Is Scott Snyder writing this one?
Yes, Scott Snyder's writing it.
Do you see what he said about the symbol?
No, it's terrible. First of all, did he say that? I know this is terrible.
No. Here's what he said. He said for every complaint online about this logo, it's going to grow 1% larger.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. And so he said, he's like, keep complaining. I'm just gonna make it bigger.
That's great. And make the wing arms longer. He'll be walking on stilts before it's all done.
Well, dude, I really do love the functionality idea of the bat logo being something.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Kevin Smith
storyline. The gun.
Yes.
That was
Kevin
cool.
Smith storyline in Detective 1000, where he took the gun that shot his parents and turned it into the bat logo.
Yeah,
Come
that
on,
was
bro.
cool.
And
that was awesome.
And the fact that in the Batman, it comes out and you can use it as a weapon. Which by the way, did you see that at the end of August, the Batman re-released in theaters for a day?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, so
I was in Italy.
You were in Italy. So to generate buzz for the Penguin, they re-released the Batman in theaters for one day for one show in full Dolby.
Okay.
Which meant that literally the car chase scene literally felt like the building was falling apart.
Oh man, I bet you it was so loud in the adjoining theaters.
It's
like,
but I'm talking every impact was like monstrous.
Oh,
every
wow.
sound was like literally shaking. But the craziest thing out of all the explosions, out of all the gunfire, out of all the stuff, the thing that made the most noise was when he was beating on the glass to get to the Riddler.
Oh yeah.
It literally sounded like the speakers were going to blow up.
Oh wow.
So that was Chris, but because it was a one-time showing, you could get a cup that had every Batman movie on it with every version of the Batmobile in that movie.
All right, then.
So that was fantastic. But
Back
then
off, George Clooney.
here's the pièce de résistance.
Oh, did you go?
I did. This is the
And
popcorn bucket.
It's the bat symbol. What the? And it lights up.
And dude, and I hold on. I don't know if I can actually do this. No.
Okay, I know this is probably some of you are listening to this on the podcast. Hector has a freaking bat symbol that he put popcorn in,
but it literally
butter, and
it makes a perfect bat signal
Val Kilmer
on the ceiling.
and George Clooney are right now, and Michael Keaton are headed to his house at this very moment.
Fantastic.
Because of the symbol.
But I mean, and it works great, but look, like you literally just
he just pulled the top off of the sucker. Oh my gosh.
I love it, dude. It's fantastic. And so like I low-key went just for that.
Heck yeah, I would have. I can't believe you have a daggone bat symbol.
It's so dope.
the bat. Oh my gosh.
So
all right,
it's great. Let's talk some comics.
That's all the news I had, folks. So there you go. Yeah. All right. We'll talk comics.
We'll talk. All right. So Todd, what are your favorite or your top 5 or top 4 books since our last show?
So Absolute Power. I am enjoying the summer. Now we're almost into fall, but I enjoyed Blood Hunt. It had a very cool ending. We're getting ready for One World Under Doom, and I'm enjoying Absolute Power. The issue 3 has come out. I think we have one more left. This is like the turning point, and at this point, Amanda Waller has turned John Kent into almost like a cyborg, half Amazo, half Superman, and she's been using him to chase down all the supers that have gotten away, that have lost all their powers. And in this issue, it comes down to all the good guys and bad guys that are still out there running around are on Themyscira, and John Kent finds them, and thanks to Dick Grayson and Superman, John Kent basically fights the techno virus or whatever the heck that's in him, and breaks free from her control. But in doing so, he makes the Brainiac Queen, because he's still hooked into it's very much like Kate Mulgrew did on the last episode of Star Trek Voyager, which is my favorite Star Trek, by the way. And when she was hooked with the hive mind of the Borg and sends back her thoughts back into the Borg, well, John does that to the Brainiac Queen, and she gets to see the love and the character of all the superheroes and how it goes against what Amanda Waller has told her to believe. And this is going to have a big, huge turning point, and we'll have to see what happens. The cool thing is Superman hugging John, and he's like, "Dad?" And he's like, "It's okay, son." It was really sweet. So yeah, the Absolute Power, I've enjoyed the tie-ins.
That's the thing. I've read tie-ins because they run through the main books.
Yeah, and I here's the deal. If you're not reading the main book, I would imagine the tie-ins would be really annoying.
Not so much at this point.
I do like the fact that it's funny that Dick Grayson, Nightwing, is like one of the main characters in this. None of his books are Absolute Power tie-ins.
And I am so freaking grateful for that, because the last time we did this with like
it was horrible. Fear State or something.
Yeah, man, that was so bad. And just to add to that, like one of the books I did read was Superman number whatever that took place right after the one you just talked about.
Is that the one with Zatanna and they have to? I don't remember.
One of them has Zatanna. There's one that Zatanna's on the cover, but it's less. They're going through the I don't know. They're looking for something, but
They're looking for something. Yeah, I got you.
but
That's the that's the
they
bad part about these, is they all start to go, oh, what are we doing?
yeah, but it talks about him having to fight his son and all that stuff that came after it. So I didn't mind it being the tie-in that it was, but it was still like, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, let's alternate just because
Okay,
I
sure.
like that flow a little bit better. Um, for me, X-Men, Uncanny X-Men #2. Again, I'm here for Gail Simone.
Yes.
All day,
Lay it
every
on
day.
me.
You get a backstory of pre-wheelchair Charles at university,
Really?
flirting with a girl who is I mean, there's like maybe 5-6 pages of just this flirtatious interaction between them, and it's really smooth and sweet. And then you go back to the fact that where it left off from Uncanny X-Men #1, and they end up in conflict with those kids, but a lot of it's dealing with the fact that Gambit's not himself since he got the Eye of Agamotto. Do you remember that that's a thing?
No, no clue.
In some story recently, and somebody above my nerd pay grade can tell us where this was, because I do remember Chris mentioning this at some point.
I don't even
Um,
remember this at all,
Gambit has the Eye of Agamotto.
which is wild because now Doctor Doom is Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
Why do we even have a Doctor Strange?
Wait, I don't think we do. Um,
Well, we do, but
like somewhere, I think it was in Blood Hunt, maybe, or something. I don't know.
okay.
But either way, he's got one of them because there's two of them,
Okay.
like a left and right or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah, right.
He's got one
Which
of
is
them.
funny.
Um, and but you just get a lot of the fact that the remaining X-Men have PTSD from all of Krakoa falling apart, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
world thinks Professor X is dead, which is this is very X-Men 97. The world thinks Professor X is dead, but he's really in a special prison, and he did something really bad on Krakoa by their standards, and it's a thing of where you just really get a good idea of this new group of mutants that are left, and they're just looking for leaders. And um but Wolverine saying I can't be a mentor, etc. It's just a really good um
It is by far the best new X book out. That's the X from the Ashes or whatever the heck it is.
yeah.
The
And
the X-Men book with Cyclops the leader of it just feels like a funny book. But it's Jed McKay and Ryan Stegman. So I'm like, I don't know. I literally just had it taken off my pull list today.
you made it 2 issues deep and dropped it.
I made it 2 issues deep and dropped it. Yeah.
Okay. This one still stands, and here's the deal for me. If Gail's on it, I'm gonna read it. And you told me something recently that Gail was writing in.
Superman. Oh, Action Comics.
Yep.
And she's also going to be doing James Bond.
Yeah. Was she doing the backstory in Action or the main story?
The main story. Rainbow Royale's doing the backstory.
Okay, yeah.
But she's only got one more issue left, and I think they switch to somebody else.
Okay.
They're doing this like Action Comics All Stars, I think is what they're calling it, where they have like somebody come and do a 3-story arc, and then it'll be a new story.
Okay.
So, but it's great.
I'm gonna check this out. All right, Uncanny X-Men. This one really turned out to be just a good read for me. Really enjoyed the whole vibe. So
I love the cover. It looks like a classic X-Men cover.
It does. It's got a lot of the vibes of that. What you got?
All right. Well, my next one is Amazing Spider-Man 56, which is Legacy 950. So it's a big boy. It's a $7.99 book. This is literally tying up loose ends. And it's done very well. It starts out with Tombstone at like a long time ago being a lackey for Kingpin, and they have this discussion about a lion was or a tiger, a lion was killing a it was very Mufasa. He was killing a cub from another lion, and they're like, oh, he's killing his kid, and he goes, well, I would kill my own if I had to, and which is coming back down around because if you've been following Spider-Man, there's this big huge thing going on with one of Spider-Man's friends, who is it Robbie Robin, the guy who now runs the Daily Bugle or whatever. His son is dating or is engaged to be married to Tombstone's daughter.
Right.
And Spider-Man has been doing this thing. He got suckered into helping Tombstone defeat all of his competition in the gang war that came out, the miniseries.
Right.
And so what Spider-Man's now been doing is he's been trying to make everyone think that he's working for Tombstone, and he just shows up and ruins everything for Tombstone. And all these people are like, Spider-Man's working for you and this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. So it comes down to getting Tombstone arrested and finding someone who will turn state's evidence against him. And they get his daughter to turn state evidence. The cool thing is that he brings in his lawyer to help, which is She-Hulk. So She-Hulk shows up in it, and it's really well done. It's a good story. We get a lot of the backstory about how Mary Jane got the jackpot, where she became the character Jackpot, and how the fella she's with, because how they got hooked up and everything. And it's really good. I feel like they're tying this all up because I think we're getting a new creative team eventually. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I feel like we're done with the Norman Osborn stuff now, and we're moving forward onto something else.
You're good, man. Good.
All right. That was it. That's all I got.
Sweet.
Amazing Spider-Man Legacy 950.
So I think my next one is what I believe is the end of the Penguin story.
Yeah. Let me have it. I have it in my stack and I haven't read it. Should I read it?
Well, you should read it, just because if you've spent like $70 to read this story so far, this last $5, you better bring it home. And it's just the play out of the first issue started with Batman and Penguin both bleeding to death.
Right. In like a car in the Gotham Bay or something. Is that right?
Yep.
Were they in water?
Yep. They were in water and they were going through that stuff, and it looked like their car was sinking. And so we get brought back here to that point.
All right. Good deal.
We get brought back to that. You get the culmination of Penguin and his daughter, of all the gang stuff, and this just makes a good final lap for the whole storyline.
Yeah, just in time for the show to come out.
And Colin Farrell, after the Batman, was so excited to get to do this again. Once they finished filming this, he said, I never want to put that on again.
Oh, really? He's done.
Yeah. Now he says, ask me in a year and we'll talk about it.
I mean, it doesn't even look like Colin Farrell. If you didn't know it was Colin Farrell, you wouldn't know it was Colin Farrell.
No, by voice, by body action, everything. I mean, the dude literally is unrecognizable. And he, because he has to put on a head prosthetic, he has to put on a bodysuit, and it's just like a lot. But
yeah,
this does make a good setup, and especially with what I'm seeing, them tying in with some of the things, this would, like, if you enjoyed this, you'll enjoy the series from everything I'm seeing. And that was the other thing. If you went to the Batman re-release, after the movie was over, you got a preview of the Penguin, like a long one.
Nice. That's a very cool little bonus.
Yeah, and you got to see behind the scenes stuff. You got to hear the vision for everything, and Colin Farrell introduced the re-release. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
They're promoting it pretty well.
Awesome.
But overall, to say that I'm standing on the other side of a 12-issue Tom King Penguin story, and it was good.
Yeah.
And the stuff with his kids was new and original. I just thought they did some good stuff with it. So I'm glad this is over.
That's, because I'm always happy when one drops off naturally.
Organically.
Organically.
You live your good life. Be free.
All right. Well, my next book is The Ultimates issue 4, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite books. It's one of my first reads. There was a lot of hype for this book, especially after Robert Downey Jr. came out and said he was going to be Doctor Doom. Um, this is, of course, set in the Ultimates universe, and the way this book reads is it is 4 stories at the same time. So there are 4 panels on each page, and the top panel goes to the next page as the top panel is the continuation of the story. So there are 4 different stories. This follows the Doctor Doom of the Ultimate Universe, who is Reed Richards. And you find out how he became Doctor Doom and why he is obsessed with recreating the Fantastic Four. He believes that they can't beat the Maker, who now is like 15 months out. There's actually a time he's going to be in this jail for so many months, and now we're at the 15-month period. And he has a whole conversation with Tony Stark about why he needs to use the Immortus time machine, and they're like, no, you can't do that. And while all this is going on, you see how in this universe the Fantastic Four failed being created, and one thing, it shows like they all died because of the cosmic rays. And in the next one, it's the Maker torturing this Reed Richards into basically making him into Doctor Doom. And the bottom one is him trying to come to terms with that and try to recreate the Fantastic Four, because he feels like it has to happen in order to defeat the Maker when he's released from his prison. It's really good.
That sounds better than the Fantastic Four books lately.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with you on that. This is, and if anybody gets a chance, go back and reread the Secret Wars, the Battle World, with Doctor Doom, because I believe that's the whole entire movie stuff's gonna be anyway. So, but anyway, yeah, good book. Ultimates. It's a first read every time I get it.
So, sorry, I am pulling off of something you started. Gotham City Sirens #3.
All right.
I know that #4 is out.
Yes, I have 3 and 4 both. I haven't read them yet.
So, and that's the thing. Like, I picked up 1 through 3 2 weeks ago, but haven't had time to read them. And so then I was at my comic book shop yesterday, and I was like, "Did I buy these? I think I should just buy the whole run." And
there you go. So do you have extra books now?
So no, I picked them up, and I got to the register, and I'm like, and I also picked up both of the all winter.
Yes, issues 1 and 2, I think, are out.
1 and 2 of but I already had those as well. And
listen, this is like, why I hate variant covers.
But I literally put 5 books back, because I'm like, I feel it in my soul that I have this, so I'll come back, because like I think I can find issue 4 if I missed it. But I'll say this is a fun book.
Absolutely.
Like out of the stuff I read collectively, this was the most just fun entertainment. Yes. You've got stuff hitting on the whole streamer, Twitch, TikTok streamer vibe. You've got jabs at things like Logan Paul and energy drinks.
The Cowboys drinking the energy drinks.
The Cowboys drinking the energy drinks with the I'm Just Ken vibes.
Yes.
And here's the deal: to be a Gotham City Sirens book, like, they aren't even like the main focus of this book. They're just kind of in it. And while they are the main protagonists, it's not like, I remember when these stories first started launching, it was like, let's show how sexy and rare these women can be. This is just like, this is comedy gold.
It is. It's fun. I'm glad you like it.
And then this is probably the best character development I've seen for Punchline since
absolutely.
Inception.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree, because I couldn't stand her. Like, I thought she was just an Aubrey Plaza knockoff.
She is Aubrey Plaza. That's who this Punchline is.
But she's much better in this.
So if you were to start off your understanding of Punchline, who this is, by reading these 4 issues, I think you'd enjoy her more as a character. And realistically, she's a better Joker than we've seen the Joker in a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Joker's just too unhinged right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed this. It's fun. You get a Rabbit Girl in this. Kind
Yeah.
of gets a little
How
bit.
does Marvel and DC both have a Rabbit Girl?
They'll call her something different. Um,
I know. I mean, Rabbit Girl was in, or the White Rabbit, I think is what she's called in Marvel. She was in the Spider-Man book I read
yeah.
because she works for Tombstone. So that's funny. Yeah.
So if this was just fun and like I don't know, this I just enjoyed the whole vibe of this. So this was a
Good
delight to
deal.
read. I'm gonna
Awesome.
definitely pick up book 4 the next go round.
Awesome.
What you got?
This is a book by Massive Comics. So I don't know that I've ever picked up a book by Massive. It is called I, like in the eyeball, lie, like don't tell the truth. I lie Popeye. So Massive Comics got the rights to Syndicate's Popeye, and they're putting out a new book. It's like a 5 issue run, and it's about the story of how Popeye lost one of his eyes because he squints all the time. Um, so this basically Popeye has near God level power when he eats his spinach. I mean, we all know that. We've watched all the cartoons. And this is set up very much almost it has a huge manga feel in it. So like when he eats the spinach, it's like, you know, All Might or you get Dragon Ball Z. It's like that happens. And it's fun. Um it has all the characters. It has um you know, Eugene the Jeep, Wimpy, Brutus, Sea Hag ends up being the villainess, Olive Oil. They're all in this. Um, like a reporter wants to know the truth behind what why Popeye only has one eye, and each one of his surrounding characters, supporting characters, have a different story of why that's true. And of course, there's a battle at the end, and then it sets up for the next issue. I loved it. My only beef with it is that some of the lettering is so small for an old fogey like me that it's hard to read. I mean, they need to do better with the lettering, but the book is gorgeous. The story is fun. Um, and it's definitely a book for all ages. Anyone could pick that up and read it, and it's got a huge manga feel to it. And usually that turns me off with some of the stuff, but I mean, I'm just gonna show you this picture. Does this not look like something like right out of a? I'm showing Hector a picture of Popeye, where he's been, and it literally is like, yeah, yeah. So anyway, good book, fun book, and it's an issue one. So I think they're gonna do 4 or 5 issues. You could pick it up, I'm sure, uh, from your local comic book shop, and maybe get it for the kids.
Okay.
What else you got, Hector?
So and also taking a lead off of you, Ninja Turtles #2.
Yes.
Did you read this one?
I have not. Which turtle is this one about?
This is Michelangelo.
Oh, Michael. I did try while I was in Italy to get pictures of stuff that they all did.
Yeah.
Those turtles were busy.
So this one picks up and we saw in the first issue Raphael is in jail.
Correct.
And at the end of issue 1, you find out that someone is basically coming for the turtles, and so Raphael makes his exit for that purpose. Now, if you're a fan of Teen Titans or specifically Young Justice,
which I am. I love both of those.
This and the fact that you've got Greg Cripes as Beast Boy and Michelangelo as the voice actor.
Really?
The guy who does Beast Boy in Teen Titans Go.
So you're talking animated, not the comic.
Yeah, animated, yeah.
Okay.
But the same guy as both Michelangelo and Beast Boy.
Okay, coolio.
In one of the iterations. So I'm gonna tell you this story, and this is gonna sound real familiar. The charming green guy left alone and separated from his family ends up becoming a Hollywood success story by making movies that basically imitate what his life was like.
Okay, so that's what this is.
So Michelangelo is now the mutant ninja turtle with his own movie franchise, fighting like kaiju and all sorts of things. And he spends his day making movies about being a ninja turtle, then goes home and falls asleep on the couch, sad and alone.
Oh,
And and I've
oh my
seen
gosh.
at least two different versions of Titans
And
where
they've done that.
to Beast Boy.
Nice.
You see it in Young
You think he did it
Justice.
on, do you think Jason Aaron did that on purpose?
It's very possible. But uh Michael, so like just like Raphael got jumped by ninjas in prison, uh they poison Mikey and
Oh,
attack Mikey to think that it's his brothers attacking him.
well, there you go. Like Mysterio.
Yeah. And then someone shows up at the end to help Mike. And then it goes really badly.
Oh,
So
someone shows up to help him.
and then because it goes badly. So honestly, the character development, the pacing is kind of crisp on this. If this lasts no more than 8 issues, I think this could stick a landing and be a perfect Turtles book.
I imagine that they'll do the four alone and then they'll end up together, right? That's what we're thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. But I think you'll get one per book and then maybe tie it up at 6 or 8.
Gotcha.
If this goes on for 12, it might go too long, but I think you could nail the landing in 6 to 8. But this was fun. I read the first one today as well as this one. And I really enjoyed the Raphael one. That was really good. I feel like the Raphael one might have
gristle and blood and wrapped in a shell.
This I feel like Raphael might have been better than this.
Okay.
But this was still good.
All right.
So that's my last major one. What else you got?
All right. Well, I guess my last one is a new number one. We knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time. When Marvel got the rights to Aliens, it had to happen. We have Aliens versus Avengers, issue 1, written by Jonathan Hickman. So nice. Very nice. And drawn by, I think, Asad Ribic. This is a gorgeous book. This book is so well done. It's definitely my favorite of all of them. This takes place in the future. So we're like 20 years, 30 years in the future. So Hickman's in a sandbox where he can do basically whatever he wants. And what has happened is there are like a group of aliens who are basically seeding planets with alien eggs. So, and they explain how that happens. They like drop a queen egg into like New York or a huge city. And then it's like in 1 week, there is this many. In 1 month, there is this many. And then, it's so, and they do 4 queens in one planet. So we are now basically down to the last vestiges of humanity. And the Hulk, Captain Marvel, Professor X are the big ones that are in this book right now. And Valeria Richards is the only remaining Fantastic Four, and she's found a way to create a virus to kill the alien. But of course, things go wrong, and a mistake was made. And when someone tells you, don't open the door, no matter what, you don't open the door. But the Hulk can't help it. The Hulk in this book is, of course, he's old. He's like 70. But when he turns into the Hulk, he's so awesome looking, the art in this. And what happens is the face hugger escapes. It pounces on Miles Morales. So Miles is still around.
And that's where that suit came from. Yeah.
Yeah. And so apparently Miles is venomized. And what happens is the xenomorph goes to get Miles, and apparently symbiote trumps xenomorph. And so then this thing is talking, and then it goes back onto Miles with a wicked looking suit, by the way.
It does look
And
dope.
that's the end of the first issue. And I don't know how many issues it's going to be, but the cover's a little misleading. It's got Captain America and Iron Man on the cover. They're not even in this book. But you get some backup story about how, who is seeding the planets with this, and then it's basically we're trying to save humanity, and these are the only people we have left to do it. And Professor Xavier is real old and in a wheelchair, and um, yeah, this is a definite read. Pick it up. It's great. The art, the aliens are awesome, creepy. Um, when Philip Kennedy Johnson took over the Aliens book, when Marvel first got the rights to the Aliens, that first run series was so good, and then they sort of fell back. This feels like we've taken that Philip Kennedy Johnson and just gone way ahead of what it should have been. So, I mean, it's fun because he's got a sandbox to play in of all these characters. He can do with whatever he wants. He can kill them all off. It doesn't matter, and just have fun. So, yeah, I'm sorry there are no more Fantastic Four characters alive, but you know, I'll get over it. Well, like in every universe, the Fantastic Four, they're not in the Ultimate Universe, they're not in this Aliens universe, but Johnny Storm's got a new girlfriend. Anyway, what do you got, Hector?
That I think that needs to be a whole discussion. We need to break that down at some point. So
He's the
my
Captain
last
Kirk of he's the Captain Kirk of Marvel Comics. Anyway,
he is. Um, so Wolverine #1.
all right.
Um,
Hey, is Nightcrawler on the cover?
Nightcrawler is on the cover.
Awesome.
And realistically, Nightcrawler is in this book more than Wolverine. Um, which is why I have it in my hand.
Awesome.
Uh,
Which, by the way, I'm going to be making a Nightcrawler mini for somebody. Somebody's commissioned me to make a Nightcrawler mini.
dude, I can't wait for that. That's gonna be
I
great.
know it's going to be awesome. But anyway,
Uh,
tell me about this bad boy.
so this takes place before the current X-Men books. But I think also in canon with
Okay.
them.
I hope
Um,
so.
I hope so too. Well, it definitely feels like it. Um, the basic gist is after all the crap happens with Krakoa and the From the Ashes and all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff before we get these books, Wolverine, to just be cathartic, goes out and lives in the wilderness with some wolves.
Okay.
And he's running around in his skivvies, just running with a wolf pack.
All right.
And Nightcrawler is going out and searching for Wolverine, trying to bring him back into society and make sure that his heart's healed. And someone slaughters Wolverine's pack,
Oh, that's bad.
and then the same person is trying to slaughter a group of people.
Oh, that's even better.
And it's an old Wolverine villain. And but then at the end of the story,
Wendigo?
no,
Okay, okay. Because that was really a Hulk villain.
yeah. But
Yeah, yeah.
he does transcribe over to Wolverine pretty well, is pretty good as well.
All right.
But it's an old Wolverine villain, and it basically just comes down to as they're rounding up how the story's playing out, something scarier than the villain is coming to life.
Oh, okay.
And we don't actually know what it is.
Gotcha. But we're going
It
to get a
it
new baddie.
it, mm, it might be an old baddie.
Oh, all right. Bring in the old baddies.
Um, I can't tell you like for sure because I don't know what it was. But just in reading it, whatever comes out, um, you know what? I don't know what I'm talking about. Um,
I don't know what I'm talking about. I love
I don't
that.
know what I'm talking about because I'm confused by what happened. Either way,
It's a good book.
the bad guy of this issue is terrified of the thing that's coming.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then when it shows up, the bad guy's changed.
Okay.
And
do we get spiritual Nightcrawler?
Not as biblical as I would like, but yeah, he's still
Gotcha.
He's still in there. But since you asked, let me show you who shows up in issue number 2.
That is Wendigo, isn't it?
That is Wendigo.
Yeah, nice.
But that's not what we're afraid of in this issue.
I can't believe I got rid of that book. I had Hulk 181 at one time.
Yeah. So that's about it. So
all right,
I would like to, for the tally, state that I think the majority of mine were Marvel or not DC.
I know. I hated that I didn't get Minor Arcana from Jeff Lemire because I know Chris would have loved to have that one in the pools. Oh, I'm gonna have to read it, and we'll have to talk about it later. Because Jeff Lemire has his first new ongoing, continuing book since Sweet Tooth, and he's got it at Boom Studios. So
okay,
yeah, I'll have to get it just for Chris.
I'm gonna have to get like Absolute Power. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention this because I bought it thinking it was going to end up in my pulls, and I don't know that it necessarily did. Did you see Plastic Man No More?
I did, and I didn't get it just because I had so many books I had to get. I wanted to. I heard it was really good.
It was really good. I'll see how it goes.
Like everyone thinks he's a joke, and actually he didn't even have many jokes in this. So
it was just like, oh, they're like, oh, you're so funny, but basically he takes a bullet to try or takes a shot from a weapon to try and protect the team,
and he's now disintegrating.
Yeah, he's dissolving.
Yeah,
and he's trying to and apparently creating a nuclear bomb is the only way to
and there you go.
Yeah, do that. So we'll see. I actually bought that one digitally because I couldn't find it in my store. And I might have to end up doing that with Absolute Power. We'll see if I can't just get a trade, but yeah, same deal. Well, that's about it, man. And I will say that you had mentioned that when we were talking about books that were kind of falling off and picking back up, I do think Poison Ivy is taking a good turn. I thought that Batman and Robin took a good turn too, heading into Bane and Vengeance and Dinosaur Island.
I dropped it.
Yeah. But like it was good for a second and then it got wonky. But the book does end, or at one point, Bane apologizes for all of his evil and wants to go to jail to pay for his sins. And Damian gets venomized for a second.
I did see that. Yes.
Yeah, it's just like but there's a whole new creative team coming to Batman and Robin. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. Good deal.
All right. So this has been our episode 105 of the Pull List podcast. Todd, thank you for taking time out of your super busy schedule to join us, and thank you for taking time to listen and to watch. We couldn't do this journey alone. We do it with a lot of the other great folks from Love Thy Nerd, along with an amazing production team who makes us all look shiny and sparkly and cuts out all the parts where I go on about inappropriate professional wrestling stories. And so we want to say thank you to them. Thank y'all for listening, be a part of this. And remember, you can check this out on the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network or you can also check it out on YouTube at youtube.com/@the Pull List LTN. You can also find us on the Glue Network, GLU, over on Roku. And we just want to say thanks for being a part of this. And remember, kids, read more comics. Bye.
Woohoo!